What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Friday. TGIF. DK Show coming to you from the Tanglewood Greens Casper Cave here on this Friday morning. Thanks for tuning in and making us a part of your starts, whether you're listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online at sportstalk1051.com. You've got your Alexa devices, your smart speakers. You got the app, download it, take it on the go. Video stream also up and rolling here this morning. But again, a very happy Friday, and thank you for making us a part of your starts before you head off for the weekend. What do we have on our game plan this morning? Brewers had the off day yesterday, so we'll take a look at their series starting tonight against the Angels. So we'll take a look at that. Shane Drone's going to get the start here for the Brewers tonight. And, of course, with the trade deadline coming up on Monday, will the Brewers, in fact, make a move? Will the Brewers be aggressive? Let's get those bold predictions. All right, that was your homework assignments that I threw out there yesterday for all of you. So I want to hear, do you think the Brewers will make that big move? And if so, give me a bold prediction on who you think it's going to be. Or maybe your bold prediction is, nah, they ain't going to do anything. They ain't going to do anything. They're going to stand pat. Or maybe just your bold prediction is that they're just going to, maybe add a bullpen armor or whatever. All right, so let's have some fun with this. Okay, let's have some fun because, I don't know, you kind of read some of the insiders, analysts like Buster Olney and that. It sure feels like it's setting up to be a crazy weekend. And maybe we're just kind of reading into this a little bit too much and getting our hopes up, getting excitement. But it's just, I don't know. It feels like we potentially could have a crazy busy weekend. But we'll go through some of the latest rumblings and rumors. Obviously, the big one is Scooble out there. Will he be moved? Will he be acquired? Will he? It sure seems like now it's just a matter of when that is going to happen. So if it's not Scooble, Brewers fans or Twins fans or Cubs fans or whoever you are a fan of, and I know the Twins aren't necessarily in on Scooble now, but I want to hear your bold predictions. And then if you want, all right, have a little Christmas feel to this. Who do you really want for your team before the trade deadline expires on Monday? So plenty of baseball chats coming your way here this morning. We'll go through all that and again preview the upcoming series against the Angels. We got Dr. Crow joining us just past 7 o'clock, so we'll go through some of the latest injuries in the sports world with him. Which, speaking of injuries and Brewers, Kyle Harrison getting closer and closer to return. He went 5 2/3 innings in his rehab start yesterday, so should note too that we are potentially getting Kyle Harrison close to return here for the Brewers. So, what else do we got on the docket here? We'll go through some of the updates from Packers training camp. Practice number 2 yesterday. So, Keyshawn Nixon did return to practice. So, we'll Packers also maybe a little bit of a minor move, but Caden Prather, 1-year deal. Wide receiver was with the UFL, so Packers signing him, and still, I don't know if with that depth. But anyways, we'll go through some of the latest updates surrounding Packers practice number 2 yesterday. So what else do we have on the docket here this morning? We got Brandon Berg, who's going to be joining us coming up next hour all the way to the finish line. So we'll do some local sports roundup with him, brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. It was a fun night last night at the Express game. Carson Park was packed, man. I mean, it was hopping. It was packed. So shout out to all the Express fans who showed up last night at the game. It was honestly, in my opinion, one of the busiest filled up times I've seen at an Express game. So it was an awesome environment, and Express picking up a win. So they continue to keep on rolling. So we'll hit that up. I know we got Legion baseball going on, CRBL playoffs. So Brandon will help us break it all down. Coming up a little bit later on, we've got our AJM Automotive Pump the Brakes Full Throttle, and then Cream of the Crop. So if you want to play along with with the Cream of the Crop, you want to send us your picks for Cream of the Crop, please do so. All right, hit us up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with a quick text at 715-830-1912. Or you could join in the Section 105 chats on our video stream. So where we got Joe and Bo already, it looks like, in the video chat. So good morning to everybody over there. So let's get things going here, shall we? I want some fun, bold predictions from all of you. All right, trade deadline coming up here. It's setting up to be, I don't know, it's setting up to be a fun one. Maybe we're setting ourselves up for a little disappointment and it might be a little bit quiet. Who knows? But let's get some good bold predictions here. Okay. And yeah, again, it doesn't necessarily have to be with your favorite team, but if you want to make it about your favorite team, go for it. But send me some bold predictions, and it could be just like, hey, this is where I think Scooble's actually going to go. I'm going to say it's the Rays. The Rays are going to pull this off. Just using that as an example. So start to hit me up with those bold predictions. Have a little fun with this. We'll take our first break here on this Friday morning, and we're going to jump right into it. All right, we're going to get right into this thing. We'll talk some Brewers baseball, previewing this 3-game series against the Angels. Shane Drones getting the start for Game 1. We'll take a look at that coming up after these quick words. All right, we are back at the Casper Cave. Again, big thanks for Tanglewood Greens for presenting that. So again, I know we're approaching August. Weather's still great, so if you have not taken taken around, played around at Tanglewood Greens Golf in Menominee, guys, gals, you are really missing out on a hidden gem, I think, in the Chippewa Valley in terms of golf courses. So check them out on Facebook. Great food, great environment. Just I like golf courses too that are kind of just in quiet areas, and it's got that. It reminds me of, I don't know if anybody has played like Indian Head over by Mosinee. It reminds me of the back nine over there, where it's all kind of like woods and just this quiet area. So really awesome course at Tanglewood Greens in Menominee. So let's get things going here this morning on the leadoff. Brewers trade deadline. Give me some fun, bold predictions. Okay, give me some fun, bold predictions when it comes to the MLB trade deadline. I will say this. There was, and I don't like to criticize people a whole lot, but Steve Phillips yesterday, this kind of got some traction, at least on social media and in the internet. Steve Phillips is a former general manager of the Mets, okay? And he used to be on ESPN as an MLB analyst. And yesterday on MLB Network Radio, he put out a trade proposal, what the Brewers would have to give up to get Skubal. And he said they're going to have to give up Jesus Madej, the top prospect in their organization. They're likely going to have to give up Luis Lara as well. And it may include Luis Pena in part of that too. I think they'll get away with not putting Cooper Pratt since he's on the major league roster. Well, Lara is too. And he said, if I'm the Tigers, I want Ashby coming back in the deal. So he said, Jesus Madej, Lara, Pena, and Ashby for Derek Skubal. That ain't happening. There is no way in this world that I can envision Matt Arnold saying, sign me up for this. Like, my first thought when I saw this yesterday is maybe that's why you're not a Major League Baseball general manager anymore, Steve Phillips. Like, if for some reason Matt Arnold called up the Tigers and said, hey, we're offering you this. The Tigers should run to the fax machine, scanner, whatever it is now to finalize these trades and say, yes, we don't even need to discuss this. We don't even need to negotiate this. Let's do it. There's no way that the Brewers and I know yesterday I was kind of saying, hey, whatever happens, I'm gonna, if they give up a lot for Skubal, I'll be like, all right, let's go. That though, that type of package, that I would question what in the world maybe Matt Arnold is doing. But luckily, that ain't happening. There's no way that package is ridiculous. I get that Skubal is awesome, but are you kidding me? No. There's no way. And if that's what the Tigers want, good luck. Move on to the next. But Skubal is the big one that is still out there. If you go to MLB.com, one source that they have talked. There's a piece up there that says Scooble trade growing, the possibility of a Scooble trade growing stronger. Offers should start flowing in any minute, said a source, which I'm sure that they've already have happened. But it continues to say that there is no shortage of suitors, with the Dodgers, Brewers, and Rays leading the pack. The Cubs and the Braves will likely take their shot too. And while the Yankees and Phillies have been mentioned as a possibility, where did that just? It's likely not going to happen. They just don't have the picks. They don't have the uh, like farm system that some of these other teams have. So, but also continuing to say about the Brewers here, it would be somewhat surprising if he didn't wind up with one of those three teams: Dodgers, Brewers, and Rays. Brewers have 6 players on MLB's Pipeline's top 100 prospect list, headlined by Madej. All 6 of Milwaukee Brewers' top prospects are position players, giving them a number of trade chips to use in a Scooble deal. Yeah. The closer we get to this weekend, how do you feel? Where do you think is the chance that we're going to get this thing actually done? And MLB.com has a list that ranks. This is the interesting part here. There's a piece on MLB.com that I was looking at earlier this morning, and I'm bringing it up again. Okay, so who needs Scooble the most? Let's rank the trade suitors. You ready for this? Number 7, the Dodgers. Number 6, the Phillies. Number 5, the Yankees. Number 4, the Braves. Number 3, the Cubs. 2, Rays. Number 1, your Milwaukee Brewers. So dead last out of those 7, they put the Dodgers. You could look at it a couple different ways. One way is, well, they already got a boatload of talent. But at the same time, it's like, but they are suffering injuries to their starting pitching staff, so they may need to add that. So, but regardless, for the Brewers, they say the Brewers have made the playoffs in 8 of the past 9 years, but they haven't reached the World Series since 1982. And they're also one of the handful of franchises without a title. They finished the MLB's best record last year, only to be swept by the Dodgers. We understand the Brewers' reluctance to surrender controllable young talent for a rental when they play in the small market, but at some point you've got to do it. This is kind of the narrative we've been hearing a lot from national writers, baseball people out there, is at some point the Brewers have to do it. Would you agree with that narrative? If the Brewers don't swing a deal for the ace, the Tigers ace, they'll be left crossing their fingers that Kyle Harrison can return healthy from his forearm injury, and they don't end up crossing paths with Scooble as an opponent come October. So, let's take a look though at tonight's game. I don't get these weird start times too. By the way, 8:38. They kind of do this once in a while. It's just kind of weird. But 8:38 is your start time. So coverage will begin on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM, 35 minutes prior. We've got Shane Drowan on the mound here for the Brew Crew. And they pushed back his start. They gave him, he was supposed to start the series finale against the Giants, but pushed it back here, give him an extra couple days here. So Shane Drowan obviously is one of the younger arms this year that has surprised a lot of people. His name has been potentially floated out there, maybe as part of a package for one Tarek Skubal. He's coming off of a loss, though, back on the 24th against the Rockies, where he went 6 innings, gave up 5 earned runs in that contest. But this is a guy, again, I mean, we've talked about it quite a bit with him. Started off at the season coming out of the pen, had a great month of May coming out of the pen, transitioned into that starter. And I think you could say he's been a solid starter. I mean, you look at his last 4 starts, he's gone at least 6 innings. So to transition coming out of the pen, yes, he was a little bit of a longer relief guy coming out of the pen, but to transition into a starter where he's given you, practically 6 innings each start and the pitch count. I mean, it's very, I mean, it's not that high. I mean, you're talking about 83, 85, did hit 90 the last couple of starts, but pretty effective for the most part when it comes to his pitch count. So on the flip side here, the Brewers' offensive lineup is going to be going up against Ryan Johnson, the righty, who so far this year is 2-5 with a 7.34 ERA. He's coming off of a loss where he only lasted 3 1/3 innings against the Giants back on the 25th, where he gave up 8 earned runs in that contest. What he has done so far in the month of July in 4 starts, he is 1-2 with a 7.27 ERA. And this is a guy a little bit on the flip side. His pitch count has been getting up there in some of these starts, at least as of late. You go back to the 5th against Boston. He went 4 innings, but 87 pitches. Minnesota, 5 innings, 75 pitches. But his last 2, Detroit on the 19th, 91 pitches in just 5 innings and 69 pitches in his late start where he just only went 3 1/3. June, he had 3 starts, 1-2, 3.38 ERA. And then in the month of May, he made 3 appearances in relief, but 14.40 ERA in 5 innings. So there's an opportunity here for this Brewers offense going up against Ryan Johnson to have themselves a day. I think in this game, again, can this Brewers offense be aggressive? Can they put up some crooked numbers and help out Shane Drone and give him an early lead? There's no reason why this Brewers offense can't attack Ryan Johnson. So go get it. Go after him. Give your pitching staff, give your Brewers some early run support. Saturday, then, you get Robert Gasser getting the start, who is 3-4 with a 4.71 ERA. On the flip side, you've got Jose Soriano, a guy who has also been mentioned in possible trade rumors. I feel like he's been mentioned the last couple of years, and could he potentially be a target for the Brewers? It would be another expensive target, but maybe something to kind of keep an eye on. Jose Soriano, so far this year, is 9-6 with a 3.29 ERA. He's coming off of a win back on the 26th against the Giants, where he went 5 innings, no earned runs. And what has he done lately here? You look at his starts in July, 4 starts, 1-1 with a 2.74 ERA. Pretty darn solid. And that's coming off of June and May, where he struggled a little bit. I mean, May, he had a 5.34 ERA. June, same thing, 5.34 ERA. He started off the season with a bang, though, in April, 3-1 with a 1.17 ERA. He's a talented pitcher. So, I know he had those bad couple months, but he's still an incredibly talented pitcher. I would expect nothing less than a tough outing for this Brewers offense going up against him. On the flip side, Robert Gasser's coming off of a win on the 25th where he went 6 innings, giving up just 2 earned runs against the Rockies. And he has put together a couple of back-to-back performances, Colorado and Miami, with really good quality starts here for Robert Gasser. And that's kind of the thing we've talked about him at length this year has been, can he just continue to stack those successes, continue to stack those games where there's solid outings back to back? It's been a little up and down here. He'll have a great game and then kind of falters a little bit after for his next start. But if he can continue to stack these wins or quality starts, that's a big boost not only for him, but for this ball club. Not knowing too how this rotation is going to look, even next week or the next couple of weeks here. is there going to be movement? We know there's going to be changes because Kyle Harrison's going to be coming back pretty darn soon, right? I mean, he just made that relief appearance yesterday and looked sharp. So it's important for Robert Gasser to go out there and put together another solid performance and kind of showcase that, hey, I still belong, or, hey, dare we say, maybe part of a trade package. And then on Sunday, you get Jacob Izarowski coming back. And then Walberts is going for the Angels, who is 6-7 with a 2.70 ERA this year. It's going to be another tough matchup for this Brewers offense, and especially he's been pitching really well in the month of July. 4 games, 1.25 ERA. And then, June, he was a little bit off, 4.28, but then May, he had a 1.64 ERA, so a little back and forth there. That's kind of the preview, the pitching matchups for this week. I don't really need to say a whole lot about Mizorowski, right? Mizorowski's to the point where, okay, his next start, now I'm just expecting him to set another record or to do something for the first time in Major League Baseball history that hasn't either been done or hasn't been done in like 100+ years. That's my expectation now for Mizorowski every time he goes out there, is that he's going to do something crazy. And all the stat people are going to be like, oh, this is the first time where he's the only pitcher to do this. That's what I expect from Mizorowski going forward. So, and plus he's going to be looking for his 12th win of the season to improve to 12-4. All right, let's talk some more trade rumors, shall we? We'll take a break, and we'll be right back after these quick words. So taking a look at a few of your predictions so far, it looks like a lot of you are kind of going with Freddie Peralta back to the Brewers. So let me throw kind of this question out there: would you, if you are a Brewers fan, would you rather maybe send a lesser package, because it's not going to cost as much for the Brewers to get Freddie Peralta as it would be to get Tarek Skubal, right? I mean, we can all agree on that. So would you rather maybe have the Brewers give up a single prospect and not spend as much, if you will, to acquire Freddie Peralta, or go all in and get Skubal? What do you think? What would you rather prefer? So a lot of you, when I say a lot of you, it's probably, man, like 8 messages I've gotten so far saying Freddie Peralta back to the Brewers. Or maybe that's just a bold prediction that you have. I don't know. But if you had the choice between maybe giving up a lesser package to bring in Freddie or getting Skubal in a bigger package, what would you prefer? I know we've kind of dabbled into that throughout the week and such, but now that we are pretty close to the trade deadline, which one would you rather see happen? Continue to hit me up on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line with quick text 715-830-1912, or you can send it to the video stream in the Section 105 chat room. Just looking at trying to find some of the latest updates here. Buster Olney a few minutes ago. The Dodgers have the most wins in Major League Baseball, and according to FanGraphs, their chances of getting a first-round bye stand at 97%. So Skubal would likely be limited to 4 or so starts in the last 3 weeks of October. The greatest practical value for the Dodgers to acquire Skubal is to keep him away from the other contenders. That's the other part here in this thing too, is like how I feel we are hearing more about Skubal and just the narrative. Hey, like whether it's the Brewers or the Dodgers, you got to get him to. So you got to get Skubal so he doesn't go to the Dodgers, and now you hear Buster Olney saying we got to get they got to get Skubal just to keep him away from other contenders as well. Bob Nightingale, USA Today. We were just talking because the Brewers do play the Angels, and the Angels, Soriano has been mentioned, I feel like, the last couple of years as part of some trade rumors. And he says here in his latest piece that the Angels are going to be selling off some controllable players too. And I know they've made some deals, but it says here they are also listening to starters on Reed Detmers and Jose Soriano, who are under control through 2028. Which we know maybe the Brewers, do they value the fact that they can control a player for a couple of years? Possibly. But that probably means with some of these players too, it might cost a little bit more to acquire a player that is a little bit more controllable. It says if the Dodgers do acquire Skubal, it assures they won't be facing him in October, knowing how terrifying the Brewers could be with Jacob Mizrowski and Skubal as a 1-2 punch. Freeman, the GM for the Dodgers, said, if I was so concerned about a player going to another team, I'd probably want that player, and then I would just acquire that player. It's a great quote from a general manager, but it's also just kind of tells you maybe the ability that the Dodgers have with this thing, that they could go out there and pretty much do whatever the heck that they want to do, right? Dodgers could do whatever the HE double hockey sticks they want to do. They've got the capital to do so. They've got the money to do so. That's where it's going to be really hard for the Brewers, I think, to still get this thing done. And yeah, they may have to overpay. 20s, though, they did make some moves yesterday. A.J. Minter's going over to the Twins. So the Twins general manager a couple days ago said, hey, we're going to be buyers. Well, they've made some moves. So A.J. Minter is going to the Twins. And it sounds like the Twins, too, are picking up the rest of his remaining salary. Minter is owed $3.3 million. The Mets are not paying down any of his remaining salary. So Twinnies are actually spending some money with that too. So, all right, keep sending some of your bowl predictions. Again, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line this morning. Let's go through a couple of these messages before I have to take a break before the top of the hour here. Dustin says, I don't think the Brewers need Skubal to make a deep run. They just need one more starting pitcher to combine with Harrison and Miz, even if it is a starting pitcher that is a number 2 on someone else's rotation. We've got kind of. I think it's time to finally pull. Jared says, I think it's time to finally pull the trigger on Skubal. I just really hope that we can add Shane Drowan to the deal. He's been absolutely atrocious recently, and we need a better starting arm than him. We cannot let a big market team come in and steal our chances at a World Series. We've got Mike that says if the Dodgers get Skubal just to keep him away from other teams, then they are just plain scared, which favors the Brewers. Scared teams fold like bath towels. C-Bomb says, Skubal, if you're going to take a swing, don't bunt. Swing for the fence. Another texter says, I predict the crew brings Fastball Freddy back, and he does very well. He will be re-energizing getting out of New York. Keep those texts coming. All right, we got to take a quick break as we start to wrap up the first hour. Flying on by on this Friday morning, a little TGIF action. So we'll go through some more rumors and rumblings, but continue to send me some of your bold predictions. Doesn't have to be for the Brewers. It could be for anybody else, any other team. All right, any other team. If you don't think the Brewers are going to get Skubal, who do you think it will be? Is it Dodgers? Is it just pretty much a 2-team race? Dodgers, Brewers. I know you throw the Rays in there, but I feel like Brewers and Dodgers are being talked about more than the Rays. So maybe the Rays sneak in. I don't know. I feel like right now it's a 2-team race from everything that we've been hearing. I like this Bo. I like the he says Freddie to the Brewers, but he also says cream of the crop. My man cave, 2 the Brewers, 3 Packers football. That's a good cream of the crop for those 3. Barb says go big or go home. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes to wrap up the first hour. We'll be back after these quick words. Coming up just past the top of the hour, we're going to catch up with Dr. Crow for a little Inside the Training Room, brought to you by Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. And then after that, we'll catch up. Well, Brandon Berger will join us all the way to the finish line. And I think we're going to be doing kind of a big Brewers trade primer. So we've got that coming up with Brandon, along with some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. We'll talk some Legion ball. We got Express and CRBL. So we'll hit that up with Brandon, along with Cream of the Crop and AJM Automotive. Pump the brakes, full throttle. So yesterday, Packers practice number 2 officially in the books. Not a whole lot. It sounds like not a lot of kicking has been going on so far either. Rob Domofsky yesterday, only field goal kicking we've seen so far. Trey Smack makes 3 25-yarders against no rush. I know the Packers, their long snapper, their usual one, Matt Orzik, has been dealing with a calf issue, so he's been out. So they just picked up a long snapper, it sounds like, yesterday, and I think that's probably a lot that has to do with it. Sean Ryan has been the backup long snapper, so maybe not. Probably don't want to mess with a rookie's confidence at this point if the operation isn't that smooth. So, but our friend Rob, who we're going to catch up with early part of next week, said keep an eye on Jonathan Baldwin. He said that he picked off Tyrod Taylor, but he said Baldwin played mostly safety last year as a practice squatter, but said yesterday that, or said the day before, that nickel slot is his preferred spot. So Keyshawn Nixon did return to practice yesterday. So he was back out on the field. And he did, kind of mention he looked at all the film from last year and was very critical of himself. And I know there's been some talk about maybe kind of a hold in. He wants that contract extension. We'll see how it all plays out. But he was asked about having his first season as a full-time outside corner under his belt. Quote, I think it helped a lot just going over the film and watching the mistakes I made and just some of the dumb penalties that I gave up. Just not knowing, understanding the level of it and what it takes. I feel like I had a really strong year to start, but definitely ready to prove myself again this year. When he was asked about his contract situation, he gave the same answer each time. He's still on a deal paying him $6 million a year as the Packers' number 1 corner. And entering a contract year, Nixon has previously hinted that he would want a raise. That's a tweet from Matt Schneidman. So, Micah Parsons was running with his D line and kind of looks like he looked good out there, but he was even teasing his teammates that he was out running them and that, but. So just again, not a whole lot. I don't want to overreact to just 2 practices at Packers training camp. But it's got to go through some of the updates, right? Matthew Golden said that the wide receivers have gathered at Christian Watson's house the past couple of nights, watching high school highlights, college highlights, and just kind of getting together. Well, Watson kind of stepping up and maybe being that leader of the wide receiver group, which he should be. I mean, when you look at the group, he is the dude. He is the guy. He is the veteran of that group. So, but last night, too, you had Tremont Williams and Earl Dotson entering the Packers Hall of Fame. Tremont Williams, I think, is one of the, when I think about Tremont Williams' career as a Green Bay Packer, and he had a couple stints, remember, too. But he is one of the most, I think, underrated, maybe at times underappreciated players in Packers history. I mean, that 2010 playoff run, we talk about, Aaron Rodgers and the run that he went on, and James Starks. But Tramon Williams, in that Super Bowl year, that Super Bowl 45 year, gets the game-clinching pick against the Eagles. In that matchup against the Falcons, it was a back-and-forth game, but Tramon Williams' pick six before half kind of changed the tone a bit. And then the pass breakup in the Super Bowl at the end. Tramon Williams, it made some huge, huge plays that I think kind of some fans maybe kind of forget a little bit. And when you look at his career, just an incredibly solid, fantastic player. He's not going to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer, but rightfully so in the Packers Hall of Fame. And I feel like, not all fans, but I feel like sometimes you just kind of forget, oh yeah, Tramon Williams, he was a pretty darn good ball player. And just a great story too. Undrafted, originally picked up by the Texans, and then the Packers pick him up, but he was a big reason why Green Bay won that Super Bowl 45 too. Don't forget about good old number 38. All right, one in. We'll be back. All right, here we go. Second hour on this Friday morning coming your way. Thanks for hanging out with us and making us a part of your start before you're off for the weekends. Coming up here in just a little bit, we'll get to Mr. Brandenburg. We'll do some local sports roundup with him, brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. We'll go through some more trade rumors with this weekend's with the MLB trade deadline coming up on Monday. Get some bold predictions. Continue to send us your bold trade predictions. Got some good ones there on that texting line. So, or on the Section 105 chat room. You can do that on the video stream. Also, we'll do some AJM Automotive Pump the Brakes Full Throttle and Cream of the Crop, where if you would like to make your picks for Cream of the Crop, please do so. All right, send those on over too. Let's kick off this hour, though, with our man, the legend, Dr. Austin Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Good morning, Austin. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I don't know if I deserve a legend, but I'll take it.
Hey, take any compliment, right? Exactly. So, well, it's training camp season, and we've gotten some practices in the books. And I got to ask you about a couple of players where some of their injuries have popped up. So, there's a rookie for the Carolina Panthers. He's a wide receiver, Chris Brazel. He will undergo season-ending surgery on a torn LCL. Um, so LCL, that's like it's on the, is it on the inside of your knee? Because the
Outside.
MCL or outside of your knee? Okay.
Yep. Lateral collateral
Lateral,
outside.
that's
Yep.
right. Is it rare to be out for a whole year for the LCL surgery?
I mean, any major ligament reconstruction in the knee, generally, if it's especially this close to the season, yes, I would expect it to be season ending. It's more so, is it a common injury on the whole? And the answer is not usually. I mean, so isolated injuries to the LCL, or we generally lump the LCL into what's called the posterolateral corner. So it's a complex of structures, including the LCL, that provides stability to the outer part of the knee. It also is a major player in the rotatory stability of the knee. And so, I mean, I do a lot of knee reconstructions. I probably do one, maybe two isolated LCLs or post corners in a year. Almost always they're associated with either ACL or PCL tears as well. So his appears to be an isolated LCL or post corner injury, which is not a common one. So that's one of the reasons you just don't see it often, is because we just usually see them in conjunction with a multi-ligament knee injury. So, but to answer your question, yeah, once you have, whether it's MCL, LCL, ACL, PCL, whatever, I mean, you're generally looking at a minimum 6 to 9 month recovery. So at this time in the season, it's going to be, that's going to be it for him.
So I think I was kind of like, was it long time ago? Adrian Peterson like had an MCL, but that might have been like a sprain where he only missed a couple weeks. So that's completely different then.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and I mean, you'll see those. I mean, we'll see isolated injuries to them. So I mean, it's not that we don't see injuries to the MCL or LCL in isolation. Those, in fact, the MCL is actually a relatively common isolated injury. The nice thing about those, because they're extra articular, often you can brace and they can heal, which is yet another reason why often we don't see isolated reconstructions, because it's usually only when they're in conjunction with another major ligament that the knee remains unstable. So people can have high grade MCLs and LCL injuries where you brace them. Now it takes time, don't get me wrong, but usually they'll heal in. And so that's often our first option for those. Say, all right, let's brace it. Let's see how it goes. It is also possible, in addition to that, he maybe sustained injury to the meniscus. They're certainly not mentioning it, but that's something that will also tip you in that direction, to say, look, we already have to do a surgery for meniscus. Let's do the surgery for the LCL while we're there, just to make sure it heals correctly. Especially with a position like a wide receiver who's going to do a lot of cutting, pivoting, rapid acceleration, deceleration. Those are the kind of things that you really want to make sure the knees is stable and tight as possible.
Staying with knees and wide receivers, we've learned from you over these last couple of years, when you hear swelling in a knee, it's usually not a good sign. And 49ers wide
Mhm.
receiver Ricky Purcell is apparently dealing with some swelling in his knee from a PCL injury that he suffered from last year. And I know the 49ers have kind of hinted that they don't feel the greatest about it. But I mean, when you hear that this is a guy who suffered a PCL injury last year and now he's still dealing with swelling, how concerned would you be for that?
Very. At this point, I mean, because that happened last year. I mean, towards early in the season, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so at this point, mean, there's a couple different possibilities. The number one possibility is that the PCL, again, so PCL, back to what I was just talking about with the MCL and LCL, your PCL is technically an extra-articular ligament. So it has a little synovial fold over it. And it's an important distinction because then it's not bathed in synovial fluid. So when you tear your ACL, the healing potential is just much lower due to that fact. So PCLs do have the ability to heal themselves. So we see an isolated PCL injury, same as the collaterals. We often say, hey, let's brace it and see if we can rehab it, because avoiding a PCL reconstruction is always ideal, because that's a surgery that we do them. They just don't tend to work quite as well as ACLs. It's just the nature of the reconstruction and kind of the biomechanics of the knee. So you brace the knee, it heals to where it's going to heal, which, it doesn't heal probably exactly like it was before, but as long as it heals, quote, good enough, it'll be good enough. So then you rehab the knee, get them going. Red flags you look for are things like swelling, feelings of instability, or another injury to the knee. So at this point, swelling certainly could be indicative of just persistent instability. So let's say it healed back at 50% of what its previous stability was. Maybe for his knee and what he's trying to do with it, it's not good enough, and he's having persistent instability. That shifting is causing irritation of the knee. Additionally, we can also see, the dreaded cartilage injuries with those. So if there's a cartilage injury, that certainly could be one, or a meniscal tear. And if he didn't have a meniscal tear or cartilage injury right out the gates, then you start getting concerned that his instability is causing those. So a PCL or ACL deficient knee, if you go back to playing sports on them, we do know that there's a higher incidence of injuring cartilage or meniscal tears as well. So certainly as someone treating him, you don't like to see him come and say, hey doc, my knee's sore and it's swollen. You feel an effusion right away. You're saying, uh-oh, this is probably not a good sign.
Yeah, no kidding. So, going to Green Bay here. So they actually had a lot of guys on the pup list before they even opened up training camp, and a couple guys have returned. But one player that opened up on the pup list was Lucas Musgrave, and Luke Musgrave. Apparently, he had suffered a neck injury in mini camp, and Packers general manager Brian Gutekunst said when it comes to neck injuries, they're going to be taking their time and bringing him back and trying to assess everything. Still, I mean that was about a couple months ago. When it comes to neck injuries, are we potentially concerned about the neck injuries that we've seen that has ended players' careers, maybe like a Sterling Sharp or a Jermichael Finley? Is
Mhm.
that kind of where your mind goes right away?
I'd say those are less common, but it's certainly got to be there given the longevity. So, I mean, you can have a whole bunch of different issues. I mean, even though they're relatively young, what those guys do can put enough strain on their neck that they develop basically arthritis at a young age. So they can have what's called degenerative disc disease or spondylosis, which is more of arthritis in kind of the facet joints that are further in the back. Both of those can cause pain, but usually guys are able to fight through that. But if they have spurs or basically protrusions of the disc, now you can start getting pinching of the nerve. So that's something that, let's say, Peyton Manning faced that towards the end of his career. Remember, if he had to
Yep.
have the procedures on his neck, that was to address an area where he was getting a pinched nerve, and he had a C7 palsy. So he had a lot of weakness in the C7, which is a very important nerve because it goes to the triceps. So you can imagine throwing a football. That makes a big difference if you have a weak tricep. So if he's having pinching of a nerve, that can cause all sorts of problems, pain for sure, but weakness in his arm, and certainly tight ends with their blocking, if they have weakness in an arm, that could be significant to their ability to perform, and obviously catching a ball as well. But you do also have the issue, and so those are more, talking about the bony structure and pinching of the nerves. You can also have narrowing or stenosis of the actual canal. Now you're talking about the spinal cord. Um, Pinched nerves are annoying and painful, all that stuff, but you don't really get worried about long-term damage, at least not early on. Spinal cord's a whole different story. So that's where you start getting in the, guys like Sterling Sharp, people who have these transient quadriplegias or even spinal cord injuries, not because they break or dislocate their neck, which is what people often think of as a way, but you basically just have a narrow canal, and you can get it where you pinch the cord without actually structurally damaging the neck, which is, it sounds crazy. It's like you drop eggs, and the carton's fine, but the eggs inside are damaged. Same thing. You can have it where like you get a hit and the neck moves in a way where you're able to actually pinch the spinal cord, but you didn't dislocate anything, you didn't sublux anything, you didn't break anything. And so those are the guys where you sometimes will have to counsel them and say, look, it's not likely, but I can just tell you about probably the scariest thing in your life is to be hit and all of a sudden you have tingling or weakness in your legs, or it can go to the extreme of what we call transient quadriplegia, where they are literally quadriplegic for usually it's only minutes to hours, but talk about scary. So guys certainly have a come to Jesus moment after they have that. So to answer your question, we don't know what it is. All those are on the possibility. Given the timeline, it's hard to say for sure, but it'll be something that they'll probably start discussing at some point in updating, because if it's more of the congenital stenosis, yeah, absolutely, it could be career threatening. If it's more of a radiculopathy or pinched nerve, you could be talking about injections, procedure, but people can bounce back from that. So it could go. None of it's good though. I mean, neck issues are not an ideal situation. So certainly not a good thing. But obviously, we just got to see how it plays out.
I don't know if this is like a comparison, but I remember when I was playing football, I went up for a catch, had my legs taken out, and I landed on my neck. And you talk about that, like there was a few seconds I felt like I couldn't move. And you're right, it was like a
Mhm.
scary, like scary moments just for those few
Yeah, I
seconds.
mean, there's very few things that can compare with that, where you're literally, you feel like you have a spinal cord injury, and those are scary. I mean, we had when I covered Virginia, we had a player that went down with that for a brief moment, and he said he's like, I can't move my arms and legs, and I mean, right away, obviously, everyone goes on red alert.
Hmm.
You treat it like a spinal cord injury. He very quickly regained feeling, but you have to treat it as if it is a spinal cord injury. So you put him in the collar, you put him on the board. We took him right to the hospital. Luckily, it ended up being nothing serious. But yeah, for the brief moment that it happens, it seems like an eternity, and it is scary.
Yeah, no kidding. I wanted to ask you this. I saved this. The Dan Patrick Show put up a poll yesterday, a Twitter poll. And so I'm like, I got to ask the expert on this. But they said, worst injury these days from a recovery standpoint. They put it out for their listeners to answer. But I'm like, I got to ask Dr.
Mm.
Crow. Tommy John, Tommy John, Achilles tear, or ACL tear?
Ah, I mean, time to return to play is actually fairly similar to all of them. If you talk about return to sport, I would say probably Achilles is the one that I think has usually the biggest long term effect on a player's ability to be kind of bouncy, like their ability to jump and move. I think of those though, the ACL is the most variable. So an isolated ACL or maybe a simple meniscus with it, I think the odds of returning back to sport are very high. I mean, whenever I have an athlete that has that, I counsel them, look, there's a really good chance we're going to get you back playing all the sports that you want to play. But ACL definitely has the most variability. Generally, a Tommy John is going to be just the UCL. The Achilles is just the Achilles. An ACL is often not just an ACL. So, I mean, I guess I'm kind of dancing around the answer. I personally, I think if you're talking about just an isolated ACL, isolated Achilles, and isolated Tommy John, I would probably go with Achilles being one that's going to probably have the biggest long-term effect on the athlete. If you're talking about, what injury could have kind of some baggage that comes along with it, ACL absolutely has the biggest variety. And as soon as you start throwing in cartilage-based injuries or significant meniscal injuries, all of a sudden that can get really more dicey. So I would say probably Achilles, with that caveat that I think ACL has just some variability that makes it less predictable.
And as you've kind of mentioned over the years that we've done this, every human body's different. I mean, that's just, there's so many other factors, like you were saying, that could determine, somebody could, like a Patrick Mahomes coming back so quick from his ACL or Adrian Peterson.
Yep. Yeah, and their guys are those were more isolated injuries, and they didn't have. Well, I shouldn't say that. Mahomes is not. Mahomes was an ACL with a posterior corner. So, kind of the first guy we were talking about, Brazier or Brazil or what it was. He had the LCL. Mahomes was an ACL and an LCL. And so yeah, I mean, some guys bounce back really well, but I mean, for us, when we first look at the MRIs, I mean, we obviously assess all the ligaments right away, but looking at what does the meniscal status and what is the cartilage status, and those really determine both the short and frankly the long term of recovery.
I was looking at for your Minnesota Vikings, any injuries. You guys seem to be pretty darn healthy. So I got nothing to throw out there for Minnesota from a training camp standpoint. Knock
Well,
on wood
just
for
give
you.
us time. I mean, it's just that's the NFL. I mean, honestly, if you really think about seasons, well, look at the Packers season last year. I mean,
Hmm.
you take away a couple key injuries, and I think you guys make a deep run in the playoffs. As much as that's painful for me to say, it's just one of the big factors for the success of an NFL team is, can you stay healthy? And I mean, so much time and effort goes into keeping teams healthy. There's some things that are fluke. I mean, how many times in Micah Parsons' career do you think he did a little, stutter step to try to do a pass rush move, or a guy getting, I mean, literally thousands and thousands and thousands of times he's done that. And just this one time, the knee went the wrong way, and there goes his ACL, and the season's over. So there's some things you just can't account for, and it's just quote bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
But the amount of time and effort they put into their, the athletic training staff, the strength and conditioning coaches to try decrease the risk of those maybe a little more preventable things like hamstring injuries, calf, Achilles, like all those things. Maybe you can do a little more prevention with those, and so teams are doing a lot of things to try decrease the risk of those because you stay healthy, and that equates to wins in the NFL. There's no question about that.
Really quick, I wanted to get your thoughts. So, Mike McCarthy for training camp for the Steelers this year said that they're not going to be doing any live tackling in training camp. He said every drill's been evaluated. There's a GPS component but behind everything we do. And obviously, he's trying to preserve the bodies. But I mean, I think it's kind of
Mhm.
maybe kind of rare in this day and age, no live tackling in an NFL training camp.
Yeah, at the NFL level, I would say very rare. I will tell you, there's more high schools and colleges going to this style, and there's ups and downs. I mean, clearly, with concussions, if you're not hitting hard, you're not getting nearly as many of those, although they can happen in other ways. Um, Injuries to joints, tendons, all that stuff definitely go down with less contact. I think, of course, the rebuttal to that is if you're hitting first, first hard hits are in a live situation, maybe some guys aren't ready for it
Mm-hmm.
or they're just not used to it. And that can be unsettling. So I think there's a middle ground. I mean, when I played, we would usually go live full hitting at least 2 or 3 practices a week. A lot of high schools are now down to just one. I mean, that's what we do at Regis. Well, usually have one, maybe two, depending on the week. But a lot of it's going to be helmets or uppers only, where you're just doing limited contact. And I think it gives the ability to kind of go up to that edge, but you're not doing full go. And that does hopefully decrease the risk of concussions, injuries, et cetera. But for an NFL team to do that, yeah, that definitely. I mean, you can't recreate full go without going full go. I mean, that sounds like an obvious statement, but it's just important to say out loud. So who knows? Maybe to my point, they have a couple guys that would have got injured that won't, and maybe that saves them. Maybe in a clutch moment, a guy's going to miss a tackle because he just isn't used to hitting hard, and that costs him a game. I mean, I could see it going both ways. I mean, there's clear advantages to it, but there's also some disadvantages.
Absolutely. He's Dr. Austin Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Dude, as always, appreciate the time this morning. Have yourself a fantastic weekend, and we'll catch up again next week. Getting closer to the start of high school football, dude.
It is Tuesday. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it is right around the corner. So yeah, it's I mean, that just, marks in some ways the end of summer for me at least.
Yeah.
But looking forward to it. Should be a good season. We have a great conference we're playing in, a lot of good local teams here. So should be an exciting year for us.
Absolutely. Well, enjoy the weekend before practice officially gets underway, and we'll catch up with you again soon, okay?
Absolutely. Take care.
You got it. There you go. There's Dr. Austin Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Let's take a quick break, and we'll get Mr. Berg in here. We'll be back after these few words. As always, a big thanks to Dr. Crow for joining us for our weekly Inside the Training Room segment. It's always great to catch up with a good doc. And as he noted, practice starts Tuesday. Football for Regis, and I'm assuming Brandon, other teams are going to be getting
Everybody, yep.
everybody's going to be getting going next week. So.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a dead week right now where teams really can't do anything. Coach can't do anything. Like, throughout the summer, there's been contact days sprinkled in, which are basically days you can do certain things practice-wise, but not this week.
Right.
So, maybe coaches are kind of using that as their last chance to maybe get a little bit of a breather. But yeah, next Tuesday, I believe stuff gets handed out the same day. They used to be separate days, but now they just do it all on the same day. And then we're off.
Do any high schools, do the midnight thing?
I mean, the only one I knew that would do it was Regis, so I don't know if I don't know if
that's still a thing.
Yeah, if it's something they still do, but I know it's something they've done in the past. That's really the only one I think around here I remember hearing that did it.
Okay, yeah, because that's not really a college basketball. They used to do that quite a bit too.
Right, yeah.
But
yeah, you have. I mean, for the most part, you either have people that practice in the morning or the afternoon. So usually it's like 8 to noon, or it's 4 to 8.
Right.
You have a couple that are still maybe doing the whole split thing, but yeah, for the most part, that's usually one of the lines that people fall on.
Gotcha. Well, we'll do some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flowing Center coming up a little bit. I know we got Legion baseball going on, CRBL, the Express are going on, which Brandon has a great piece up with the Express.
Good timing.
With the player on there too. So we'll hit that up coming up in just a little bit. All right. Are you on the Scooball train? Let's get right to it. Brass tacks here, man. I mean, first of all, can we all agree Steve Phillips, we know why he's probably not a general manager anymore?
And he hasn't been for a couple decades. Yeah.
That's it.
And look, I don't usually like to throw shade at people, but
I was the same way.
But there was, I didn't even, some friends of mine who even just like, they're Brewers fans, but it's not something, we don't talk about the Brewers a ton. They just kind of like, boy, that's a lot. And I think my response to Steve Phillips is a dumbass.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, look, hey, if you're the Tigers, you can definitely ask for pretty much every single notable piece in the farm system the Brewers have, but that doesn't mean the Brewers are going to be at all interested in doing it. So no, I mean, there's been other pieces from people who I would consider to be a little bit more in the know about kind of maybe what it would take to acquire Derek Scooball. I forget who from ESPN here within the last week. They kind of had their own, but I think it was something along the lines of, was it like Logan Henderson, Josh Adamshevsky, Ricky Moniz. Like, that's a little more, and fair, because that's still a chunk to give up, because I really like Josh Adamshevsky. He just hits the heck out of the ball. But yeah, I mean, I think it's always going to come down to the cost.
Yeah.
And obviously that's kind of a cop-out, but it's accurate.
I've come to the conclusion. I mean, if it happens, I'm not gonna be mad. I think there's gonna be certain packages where it's like, okay, if it was like Madej, I'm like, okay, here, that's a little much. But if it were to happen, am I gonna be mad the next day? No, I'll be excited, because all right, I'm worried about the 2026 Brewers right now.
Yeah. They're doing the thing that a lot of people say they never do.
Right.
If that's the case.
Right.
Which is take the big swing.
Like, I almost kind of compare it to how when Green Bay traded for Micah last year.
A little bit, yeah. You feel like, okay, right there, you just want that one final piece to maybe put you over the top.
And I get the difference is that, okay, they locked up Micah for a few years, where this we know would just be a rental. I completely understand that, but it's still to the point, like, hey, that we gave up a lot for a guy like Micah Parsons, but you're still excited about it.
Right.
So I guess I don't know if it's the right way, but I'm worried on the 2026 Brewers. I'll worry about 2027 Brewers in future when we get to that point.
If we have,
yeah.
Right. And I think the thing that's different this year versus, I mean, really, the last time they made a gigantic swing like that would probably be probably Lorenzo Cain and Christian Yelich day.
Yeah.
But like in season, obviously you go back further, and if you want to go back to, I mean, even though it wasn't in season, but like if you want to try to, maybe make the example of 2011, Zach Greinke.
Yeah.
Because, Zach Greinke and Sean Markham, I think we all knew they weren't going to re-sign. When they traded for Yelich, obviously, we kind of felt like, oh, if it goes well, they could maybe extend them. But I think the difference then and now is the Brewers farm system is a lot better now than it was then. Where if you only had when you look at what the Brewers traded in those two trades for Zach Greinke and Sean Markham, it's like they kind of emptied the farm system a little bit, and there wasn't a ton for it to be there in the first place. So when you don't have a lot, you're probably a little bit more likely to feel okay letting it go.
Right.
Versus now, you can kind of be a little bit pickier with it. So, yeah, to me, it comes down to what the return is for Detroit, and this is one of those rare times where the Brewers probably have more to offer than pretty much everybody else. Obviously, the Dodgers are always going to be in that mix, but like if you're looking at someone like the Cubs or the White Sox, which I don't know how they would feel about dealing within their division, but I guess if they're not contending, what's the difference?
Right.
Can those teams put together a package that would beat the Brewers? I mean, the Brewers have largely considered the best farm system in the majors, so. And it's not just on top-end talent, it's on depth. I mean, you're even seeing over the last month or two even more guys that I'm sure teams are kind of having their ears perk up when they see, Braylon Payne and Josiah Ragsdale, just guys who you're just looking and going, oh, yeah, by the way, there's also these guys. I mean, everyone knows about Jesus Mate and, Luis Pena and, some of these other guys. But then there's these other guys that you're just like, oh, yeah, by the way, this guy, and those are the guys that sometimes fall into the cracks when you have the top rank, top 5, top 10, top 20, top 50 prospects. Like, so the short answer is, yeah, I mean, I think it would be really exciting. It just comes down to cost. And there's certain positions where the Brewers can deal from a little bit, still have the depth there. And it's almost a weird spot for the Brewers to be in where they have capital they can use. And it's not money, but it's still extremely valuable. And that's, prospects.
I wanted to ask you, the Brewers are heavily. I mean, whether it's Jim Bowden saying he thinks the Brewers are the number one, or Jeff Passan said everybody just kind of resigned to the fact that it's going to be the Dodgers. I mean, it's kind of all over the place. Let me kind of ask you this: do you think the Brewers are being thrown out there just to try to draw up the price tag a little bit, or do you think there is legitimate interest?
I think there's interest because I think you've heard reports that they've been, in, so to speak, on, I think they checked in on both Tarek Skubal and Mason Miller. But it's in some ways that's why it's almost a believe it when I see it thing, because some of the narrative almost seems like from national people, it's like, well, they should do this, not they will do this. It's like they should do this, and look, there's reasons why, but it's like it's almost like you have some national people trying to talk themselves into the idea that the Brewers should do this. When if they did it, it really wouldn't be Matt Arnold's MO. Like, this isn't what we've seen him do. I mean, remember last year their trade deadline consisted of what, Brandon Lockridge?
Yeah.
And that was the team that set the team record. Now, granted, there was a big win streak in August that helped there, but it almost does seem a little bit like, I don't say that they're trying to puff it up, but like they're just trying to talk themselves and maybe others into the idea that this is what they should do versus what they will do.
Can I throw a conspiracy thought out there before we have to take a quick break?
Sure.
Because I've heard this a couple times too from some of these analysts where they say, the MLB Players Association or MLB would maybe rather have Skubal go to the Brewers because it helps the argument, whereas it's that back and forth. Is that part of it with it too? That narrative about, hey, if he goes to a small market team and it's Brewers and Rays for the World Series, you can't say about like the Players Association wants him to go to a small market, so they can't use the salary cap argument.
Right. I mean, it's possible, but I mean,
it's not like they have any sway. They can't force the team to like.
No, you're going to take the best. Yeah, and maybe so at the very least, even if ultimately he just ends up with the Dodgers, that they could be like, well, yeah, but they were in on. It's like, well, but were they?
Right. Yeah.
Even we said the Brewers have checked in on some of these guys, but teams check in on people all the time.
Right. You're not doing your job as a general manager.
How many football teams do you think have checked in with Tampa Bay and Vita Vea this week?
Yeah. They'll deny it, but I mean, you're not doing your job.
Or it won't. Or it won't come out or whatever. But it happens all the time. Like, teams talk a lot to each other, not just when they're looking to make a trade.
Yeah, exactly. Let's. We got a whole lot more to digest with this. So Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back after these few words. Brewers will be back in action tonight as they take on the Angels for a 3-game series. Shane Drone is going to be on the mound. Angels, though, too, are a team, Brandon, that at least the last couple of years has been talked about with pitching, like Soriano, who is scheduled to go against the Brewers, and I know he'd be under control. I guess my question would be, for Brewers in general, if they're going to be acquiring a starting pitcher, do you think it's important for them to find a guy that's under control, considering kind of the depth that they have at starting pitcher?
I just think it gives you more options.
Yeah.
You mentioned Soriano. Reed Detmers is another one where he's under control for a bit too. Now, obviously, that means you're going to have to pay a little more, but I think the options, it's just always nice to have that. Like, where if he comes in and, or whoever it is comes in and just, pitches great, then you're just like, okay, well, we feel good about this, versus like, okay, well, the rental, like, look, Tarek Skubal's Tarek Skubal.
Right.
There's nobody else on the market that's Tarek Skubal.
Right.
But you just know, okay, it's going to be 2-3 months. So, no, I think that's something to be considered. And I think part of me still says that not specifically those two, but like a move on a pitcher with some control is still, to me, is the play. Like, that's where I would probably be leaning more towards what they're going to do if they do something significant, just because that seems more of their MO.
Okay, so kind of takes maybe Peralta off the table too?
Maybe. I mean, the only thing with Freddie Peralta is I can't imagine the cost would be very much.
Right. And I know I'd read the other day too that there's some, this was from Will Salmon from The Athletic, that there's some executives out there that think it's more, his problems have been more, it's just the Mets issues, which it very well could be. But again, I think we've learned so much with these rumors. How much is this agent and teams throwing this stuff out to try to draw the price?
That does kind of strike as an agent, kind of getting in somebody's ear and saying, actually, the problem isn't my guy. The problem is the team itself. Which, look, the Mets have a lot of problems.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It's plausible, but in these spots, usually you're kind of getting one piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. So, would you be open to the possibility of Peralta coming back, or?
I would. I think it would be kind of funny more than anything else, but like, I do think he is a better pitcher than what he's shown with the Mets. But, the question is, like, where does he slot in? Like, because all things being equal, like, it's funny to say this, even though it was just last year, but it's like, you can't really put him above, like, Mazeroski or even Harrison at this point.
No. Would he be back yet?
Is he your third or your fourth pitcher? Probably.
I put almost Logan Henderson above him.
I mean, if Logan Henderson's out there, Logan Henderson has pitched better. Like, so it's all,
Could he be your fourth starter in the playoffs?
Right. Maybe he's a guy that only gives you one game.
Right. And then like a few innings.
Or in a 7 game.
That's
kind of been who he's been. Like, the playoff the playoff performances for him the last few years have not been great.
Right.
It's been kind of what we've seen of Freddie Peralta just in general, where it's 4 1/3, 4 2/3, 5 innings, maybe 2 runs, something like that. Like, it's not like he's getting shelled, but it's just one of those things where, like, he's never been that guy that's pitched super deep into games. It just seems like it's really been exacerbated.
Right. By the way, that is not a mini NES. That is a straight up original Nintendo.
Oh no, that thing is
that is original as it all can be.
Sturdy.
I have another one in the back room too, backup on, but that is all original, as Brandon knows.
Yes,
really well too. So had to bust it out with the Tecmo Bowl game, and I've been playing it quite a bit down here. Yeah, I have
Good.
been. So it's definitely getting its work in.
Good,
so,
good.
Yes, but no. It's when we look at this with the Brewers in the trade. I mean, if we rewind to the beginning of the year, I think you would ask, a lot of fans would have said, still a bat. You're not hearing a whole lot about a bat anymore.
No. And it's interesting because the also thing you got to consider is, like, if someone comes in, someone goes out. And right now, that guy, maybe it's, what would it be? Like, would it be still a corner infielder? Maybe someone that can play first and third. If so, then it's like, well, then who are you moving out? Because you still need someone that can play up the middle, like a David Hamilton. But, like, David Hamilton, production-wise, would probably be at the the bottom end of the totem pole.
Right.
But
they're not sitting Yelich. As much struggle, they're not going to sit Yelich.
No. Or do you just send back down, like, Perkins? And do you roll with the slightly thinner outfield group. But now with Jake Bauers and the toe thing, like, how much outfield is he really going to be playing when, he's probably, you have to imagine.
And we don't know when Frelick's coming back.
We don't know about South Frelick. Like, yeah, there's a lot of questions. I would still like them too, just because we have seen years and years and years of ultimately the bats kind of being the bugaboo for the team, the reason it gets tripped up in the playoffs. So it's just like, okay, we'll just find another way to get another bat. But it's like, who and how is the question. That's the big question this time of year. Who's it going to be and how are they going to get them?
There's, I think he's actually, the right fielder with the Angels who's got 16 home runs?
The Joe Adele?
Yeah. Would that potentially, because you're looking for power if you're making a trade, right?
Right. And he is someone that hits lefties really well, and he's got some speed, but I don't know. Like, I let's put it this way. I think that another team might probably end up valuing him a little bit more, because while that would be probably an upgrade at certain points for the Brewers, like, there's probably a team that could just use it more. And generally those are the teams that kind of get them because they're going to want him more, so they're going to offer more. So, but yeah, this is the question.
Yeah, it's a. I'm going to save that for Pump the Brakes Full Throttle. So we got to take a quick break as we wrap up the second hour. We're already at halftime here. It's going to be a crazy 8 o'clock hour because we've got Cream of the Crop, we've got AGM Automotive, Pump the Brakes Full Throttle. We got a lot more trade talk. I've been asking for people to give me some bold predictions because we got the trade deadline coming up on Monday, and it sure seems like we're going to be set up for kind of a crazy race to the finish line here. So, or maybe a lot won't be happening, but continue to send us some of your bold predictions. By the way, my old golf coach said Medford Volleyball does a midnight practice to open up. So there we got a volleyball team that we know that does that. So, all right, let's take a quick break as we start to wrap up the second hour. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, let's wrap up this hour. We got about 6 minutes. So I'm going to switch gears here for a little bit because I want to get your thoughts on the whole Luke Fickell, the athletic piece. I'm sure you kind of heard some of the stuff with, what went down behind the scenes. And then we heard Luke Fickell at Big Ten Media Days. I almost kind of, I'll admit it, dude. I kind of like, he kind of moved up for me. I just, how do I want to say this? I'm rooting for the guy, obviously because I want the Badgers to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like they're in a better spot? Knowing what was kind of some of the stuff, it doesn't paint a great picture of Chris McIntosh. I think for that's the biggest takeaway from a lot of that.
Yeah, and then is this a matter of trying to find the scapegoat? Where obviously Luke Fickell's been a bit of the scapegoat, rightfully so, for some things for a bit now. So, but yeah, I mean, it always just seemed like, I mean, especially the last year or so, like the whole McIntosh thing was just always kind of weird.
Yeah.
And obviously him talking about like, okay, this is having no backup plan, essentially, like this is the plan, and then kind of suddenly the guy that brought you in is kind of taking the lifeboat out when look, it's obviously it's a chance to work for the Big Ten. I can understand the allure of that, but at the same time, it's like this is also a guy who was at his alma mater, like was a big star. His son is going to play there. Like that timing was always a little bit interesting.
Right.
So, but no, I mean, like for me, this year as a Badger fan is very simple. Either the Badgers are better or Luke Fickell doesn't have a job, and then they're just going a different direction.
Right.
I like what he's done the last few years as far as kind of some of the staff he's assembled. I like in kind of in theory the idea of what Jeff Grimes wants to do. I think it's a modern way of being the Badgers. As far as he wants to run the football. Now, there's a little bit more quarterback run than we saw. We would see obviously during the Badgers' heyday.
Right.
But like being physical, and then bring in the offseason, bring in the new offensive line coach, like a guy with a lot of big track record of success, and has really seemed to embrace being the Wisconsin Badgers offensive line coach. Like it seems like after a few years, Fickell has kind of figured out, okay, maybe I do still need to keep that Badgers footprint a little bit of what Wisconsin is. Now you can upgrade it, you can bring it forward a little bit, but like it almost seemed like right away too much was tried to be changed.
Right.
And then you kind of and it wasn't successful. Look, if it was successful, nobody would be saying anything. But like, and I think you kind of say, okay, well maybe I do. And part of that too is recruiting in state. That has been a big focus here, and they've landed some in-state guys. So I think, and it's been a bit of a roundabout way. We can say, okay, well it's good that he's kind of maybe coming around to maybe what would be a more universally praised way of doing things. But the bottom line is still going to be wins. If all this happens and they go 4-8 again, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So, but I would agree with you, and I'm just obviously I know Badger football right now in Wisconsin is not super. There's not a lot of buzz to it, but I'm really looking forward to the season because I'm just curious to see what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's saying the right things, and and maybe I'm just kind of buying into it a little bit, but I like the outlook that you're looking at because it's going to be one of two things, right? Yeah. It's if they win, they get to a bowl game. All right, let's go build it off that, or it's a new era again.
At least he did not go up to the podium with a puppy.
Yeah. Yeah. What was that all about?
We know.
Yeah.
Misdirection.
Jeez. God. All right. So
our teams in the past have seen we've seen in the past what can a puppy do to maybe misdirect people from some off the field stuff that's been going on with the team.
Puppy. All right. So shot clock's going to cut us off here in a minute. We're going to kick off the next hour with some Cream of the Crop. Then we'll do some Carpet City Flooring Center local sports roundup, as it's going to be pretty baseball heavy at this point.
Oh, yes.
So as we get closer to the fall prep season getting underway here, it's hard to believe. Sorry, kiddos, if you're listening, but it's coming. It's coming. So we'll do that. And then we got AJM Automotive, Pump the Brakes, Full Throttle. So we'll do that and then get back to some more baseball talk as we near the MLB trade deadline coming up on Monday. So let's, we'll hit that up and continue to send us your bold predictions. All right. You can text those on over to that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or hang out in the Section 105 chat on the video stream. So, all right. Halftime. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Third hour kicking off right now on this Friday morning. Thanks for hanging out with us and making us a part of your start before you head off for the weekends. Coming up, we'll get back to some more MLB trade rumor chat. We'll hit that up. Some of the latest rumors. Continue to send us some bold predictions. Have a little fun with this one. Doesn't necessarily have to be for your favorite team. If you just want to send a bold prediction for any team out there, feel free to do so. So you can hit us up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with a quick text at 715-830-1912. Let's kick off this hour with a little cream of the crop. What do you got for your cream of the crop, Brandon?
This is going to lead into something that we're going to be talking about here, I'm sure, in a couple minutes, but I'm going the Eau Claire Express. 12 of 14, including last night, a game you were at.
Yep.
The only 2 losses during that stretch, a couple one-run losses to Wausau last week. Going into the last week of the regular season, leading the division by 3 games. Like, I mean, they have just been, like, just on fire. Like, I don't know the best way.
Believe they can clinch this weekend, Sunday, possibly.
Yeah, because I think with there being 3, that makes sense. I'm sure if they just keep winning.
Yep. Take care of your biz.
And they've got a lot of home games, too.
Yep.
Like, I mean, obviously, they had that big road trip earlier this month, but, like, you want a chance to see them, and they're playing really good baseball. You've got some chances here coming up in the next week or so.
Yeah, we got one more Tailgate Thursday coming up next Thursday,
There you go.
So, but, yeah, that's a good one. I got 2.
Oh.
We were talking a little bit off the air, but it's the first time we got to mention it. I got to throw in the Legends game by the Brewers. And I kind of threw out this. I wish they would have thought of this a few years ago. Could you imagine if Euchre was on the call for one of those?
Oh, my gosh.
That would have been hilarious.
Right.
But it was, I mean, it's an alumni game of older gents. You got to have, I don't know if anybody was like, oh, that was bad. It was fun.
Ben Sheets isn't coming out here ripping mid-90s heaters.
Yeah, exactly. So it was fun. I give credit to the Brewers for a franchise, you know, like it's not an iconic franchise. Let's be real, right? But for ways of bringing back the alum, and you kept hearing that from a lot of those guys, you know, thanking the Brewers for bringing them back and kind of getting everybody together. Like Green Bay, I think, does a really good job with their alumni and bringing those guys back. So I hope they continue to do stuff like this.
And the Packers always have, you know, the tailgate tour, which is, you know, obviously a big thing for getting those guys involved too, driving around the state and stuff like that. And I've said for a while that I think there's an opportunity for the Brewers to do something like that in the winter.
I agree.
I mean, we saw, you know, last winter when Pat Murphy came to Milwaukee, like, there's an opportunity there. I mean, that thing was packed everywhere he went, including here in Eau Claire. And I think there's an opportunity to do something like that. Get a couple players, get a couple coaches, and just, you know, bop to a couple different places. Like, there's something there. Maybe this will hopefully just kind of get them the opportunity to do that. And as much as I kind of chuckled at, like, oh, Jeff Bianchi, Brewers legend, it's like, okay, but I get it. I get it.
Yep. No doubt. So
there's probably only a certain amount of guys who can actually physically play at this point.
Yep. Braun probably one of them. He looks still the part. So my other one, how about our very own Brandon Berg? He didn't get hurt playing in Lublin.
Well. I mean, I was sore. I was very sore. And today is about the best I've felt since probably last Friday. So
all right. Well, you got it. You got through Lublin
I did.
tournament. So.
I appreciate you letting me use the bat. I still had a couple hits left in it, I guess.
All right. Well, it's probably the last time I might get some hits into it. We'll see. But there we go. That's my cream of the crops. So you mentioned it. Let's do some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. Since you mentioned the Express, I know you've got a piece out now for everybody to check out at chippewa.com, but you know, and we've seen it over the years. A lot of local players have kind of you know, played with the Express, but tell us about kind of give us a little preview of what your latest piece is
Sure.
about.
My piece is up this morning on chippewa.com. Should be in the print version of the paper this weekend if that's what you're interested in, on Chippewa Falls native Jacob LeQuay, who joined the team here in the second half of the season. Has taken a very unique route. After high school, graduated a couple years ago from Shanghai. Really good career there as a player. Went and actually played JUCO ball at MATC, Madison Area Technical College, and was one of their more prolific pitchers. I mean, I think this past year he was second all time for strikeouts in a single season, and it got him on the radar. I mean, he's going to be playing Division I ball after this year or after the summer at Western Illinois. So, you know, I talked with him just kind of about the process of kind of grinding through them. I mean, that's what JUCO ball's for. You know, it's 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, and it's to see if you can be maybe a springboard to bigger things. And when he got there, he said he said he just had the mindset of, okay, this isn't going to be my last 2 years playing baseball. And he worked on himself. He got bigger, stronger, better mechanics. Worked with his pitch mix, just different stuff like that. And Dale Varsho had mentioned. I mean, Dale is someone that has known Jacobs since probably he was 12 years old, just working at the the academy and stuff like that. And he said, this kid just really wants it. Like, you can tell like he's going to always put in the work to get better. And he's stepped in with the Express, and he pitched last night, I think, a couple scoreless innings, and he's got a sub-3 ERA. And it's very hard to do that in the Northwoods League. It's a very hitter-friendly league with a lot of moving parts on the pitching end. I mean, he's been a guy that's been able to come out of the bullpen and give them multiple innings. And, he's a guy that I'm sure they're going to be leaning on a little bit down the stretch here, too.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he just, had – and it's unique, too, because he actually played the first half of the summer in the CRBL.
Oh, okay.
So he was an all-star, I think, playing second base for Tilden. And he's done that before, too. And we've seen several guys be able to do that, where they've played in the CRBL and they can kind of make the jump. And obviously it's different because you're going from, you got just the ages of players. But still, like, I mean, I think that goes to show just kind of the high level of play you see in the CRBL, too, where these guys, obviously, they're having success, but it's not like they're just absolutely dominating.
Right.
But it sets a good bar, I think, for when they do jump into the Northwoods League, which we know has some of the best college players in the country.
Right, absolutely. And you mentioned the Express, so they're going to be home tonight against Rochester, home against Madison tomorrow, and one of their only 2 road games left. They'll be hitting Madison on Sunday, but then back home Monday against Duluth, and then on the road against Duluth, and then they're home for the rest of the
Wednesday,
week.
yeah, next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yep. So, and you mentioned right now on the schedule wise, I mean, yet the Express first place in the second half of the division. They're in a great spot to clinch that because Lacrosse already clinched the first half. So you look at it, then it's Rochester who's 8 games behind the Express. So very good chance. And it's setting up that we know it's going to be Lacrosse and Eau Claire for that first playoff matchup, which should be a good one.
Of course.
Right? So when you look at the overall records here, but I mean, Eau Claire and Lacrosse in Wausau have the most overall wins at 39 for the Northwoods League so far this year. So yeah, it should be a good one. So,
right.
You mentioned CRBL postseason time.
Yeah, we've got the CRBL championship game tomorrow afternoon in Altoona. It's going to be the Eau Claire Cavaliers, who won the South Division, then defeated Cadott in the wildcard game Wednesday, going up against Jim Falls, the Sturgeons, knocking off the North Division champion Tilden Tigers. So, a really kind of resurgence out of the last few years out of Jim Falls. Just a lot of younger guys that have kind of gelled and been able to come together and play, and they're playing their best baseball right now. That's a really good team. Or it's a really good team, but obviously it's also a really good story there for Jim Falls. I mean, that's been a really kind of resurgent franchise the last few years, and they're gonna that should be a really spirited matchup tomorrow at Cinder City, at Cinder City Park in Altoona. So, and I'll be there for that. So looking forward to kind of seeing how that goes. But then that's kind of going to be the leap into the WBA playoffs, which will be coming up once we get into August. And the CRBL always a threat in that tournament. Last year, Whitehall won the Class B championship. I believe it was Osseo was the runner-up in Class A. And, I mean, it's interesting because you've got teams like an Osseo, Eau Claire, the Bears, who won the league last year, who didn't make the playoffs, but are still absolutely going to be a contender in the playoffs in the WBAs, which, as the WBAs, that's teams from around the state. So that's, teams from all over. And we've had teams from the CRBL win the state championships here in recent years. So it was Tilden a couple of years ago. I know the Cavaliers did not that long ago too. So, yeah, it's we say it a lot about just the level of baseball and how much people love baseball in this area, and I mean you can just see it in so many ways, and this is definitely one of them.
Yep. And then we got Legion baseball.
More baseball.
But
yes, in the 19U state tournament in Marshfield, you got Eau Claire. They're one of 4 teams left. They and I mean last night, they had their first loss to the tourney 12-1 to Kimberly, and that was actually the first game they lost since the first game of regionals. They actually lost their first game of regionals, came all the way back through to win the regional at Casper Park in Chippewa Falls, and then went on to stay, won their first couple games. So they'll actually be in action this morning. The games, I'm assuming because of rain, got moved up. So they'll be taking on Watertown this morning at 9 a.m. over in Marshfield. Then you got Sheboygan and Kimberly. Those are the other two teams still left, and they'll play again tomorrow. And it's a double elim tournament, so obviously, you keep winning, you keep playing. So, but
Right.
obviously, a fantastic season for Eau Claire once again. As they've been able to make a deep push. Early this week, we had the 17U state tournament in Chippewa, which Chippewa was a part of, made it, I believe, to the Final Four there. So a great season out of that group of the youngsters for Chippewa. But also we've got the Legion softball state beginning today. So in Division 1, I mean, the closest teams around here, you're Medford.
Yep.
They're in action. They'll be taking on Merrill. Take out Maryland, a lot of things, but otherwise Arcadia as well in action. But then in Division 2, several smaller areas, they're smaller areas, but also teams from around this area. You got Fall Creek, they're taking out Wittenberg, Burnhamwood, and these games are in Merrill, by the way, for softball. You've got Bloomer taking on Marathon. You got Boyceville, who's got a bye. You've got Augusta in action for the first game of the day, which will be kicking off in a couple hours here against Augusta. So, yeah. A lot of this is coming to a head here as we really, obviously tomorrow's August.
Right. Yeah. Gosh. Holy moly. All right. There you have it. And as you mentioned a little bit earlier too, we got football practice starting next week too for some high school teams. So that's your local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. Let's take a quick break. And let's play a little Pump the Brakes, Full Throttle, brought to you by AJM Automotive. Coming up after these quick words. All right, let's kick off this segment by doing a little AJM Automotive. Pump the brakes full throttle, and probably be a little heavy on the Major League Baseball trade deadline front, but pump the brakes full throttle. Let's just kind of begin it kind of a generic way. Pump the brakes full throttle. This is going to be a crazy trade deadline.
I'm gonna go full throttle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go full throttle. Even though there's still a lot of teams I think that are in contention. Which I mean, if you've got basically if you're a seller, you're in a good spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're the Angels, I mean, I'm assuming if the Tigers believe that they are a seller, like which given how they started the second half, probably I think you need to win a little bit more.
Right.
But yeah, I'll just say in general, yeah, I think it's going to be pretty fun.
I think it's good. I'm buying into it. I think it's full throttle on this, and I think we're going to see some. I don't think Mason Miller gets traded. That one.
Yeah, that's one where, and it's always you never quite know what to do with the Padres because well, here's the thing. I would also say for people like, well, the Brewers should be aggressive. They're never aggressive. It's like the Padres are always aggressive. Well, what has it gotten them?
Right. Yeah.
And they have more money to spend. Like that's an example you can point to and saying, well, always being aggressive and going after the big fish isn't great. Because remember last year they traded a top 5 prospect, essentially someone in the stratosphere of Jesus Mate for Mason Miller. Now a year later they might trade him, but it hasn't obviously helped them get over the top.
Right.
They lost in the playoffs to the Cubs.
Yeah. Pump the brakes full throttle. The Brewers should go all in to acquire Tarek Skubal. When I say all in, not trading Made.
Okay.
Just how about this? Would you include Logan Henderson in a deal?
Man, I don't know. Like the thing about Logan Henderson is like he's just done nothing but pitch really well, and I'm still not entirely sure how he does it because it's not like he throws super hard. Like he just misses barrels, he just misses bats, he just gets guys out. Which I mean, obviously that's a great characteristic for a pitcher, but man, if there is a way you can make it work where it's maybe Shane Drone or Brandon Sproat instead, yeah, because I mean like Logan Henderson, like you can make a case that he's been the second best pitcher on the staff behind Mizrowski.
Yeah.
The thing with him is just staying on the field.
Can say the same thing with Kyle Harrison too. Right?
Well, and that's what I mean. Like I think that when you stack their numbers up, Logan Henderson's actually been better than Kyle Harrison. It's close, but
he's got a sub-3 ERA so far.
Right? Yeah.
It's if we could choose, I'd say Brandon Sproat or Shane.
But at the same time, if you're the Tigers and you're trading Tarek Skubal, you can understand. Okay, they would want Logan Henderson,
right?
Like you get, and
it's easy for us to say, this,
and you have to give up to get.
Right. Exactly.
So it's
tough.
It's tough. It is.
Would you include Luis Pena, considering maybe the backlog of middle infielders?
I would include Luis Pena for somebody with more control.
Okay.
Like as great as Tarek Skubal is, 2-time Cy Young winner, to have him just for those few months still. Like if the Brewers made a trade for Mason Miller, I think I would be comfortable giving up Luis Pena, just because of you mentioned the backlog of infielders. That would be one where I think I could stomach that, but it would need to be someone with a little bit more control attached.
Does Mason Miller have more control?
He does, yes. Okay. He's under control for another couple of years after this.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's part of the reason that when the Padres acquired him, they got a lot. And then, of course, the Mason Miller thing is they could always have him for a year and a half and then trade him after 2027. I'm sure get something of note back. So,
right.
But like that's why, Mason Miller would be someone where I think, even though it is a relief pitcher versus starter, still I feel like I would be okay with that just because of the control aspect.
What about Jet Williams? Would you be open to dealing him?
I think
over
so.
Like a Luis Pena?
I think
he's
so.
More ready?
I think so.
Okay.
And I mean, I know he hasn't been bad. He's just been fine.
Right.
So I mean, I think it's weird because I feel like as a fan, as I've gotten older, it's kind of it went from like, oh, it's prospects, who cares, to like, I'm not a prospect hugger, where it's like you can't trade anybody. It's like, well, especially now when you're the Brewers in this spot, if you have this many high end talents, like not all of them are going to play. Like, so I've gotten to the point now where it's a little bit more selective. I mean, Made to me is still an untouchable, as I think he would be with a lot of fans. But yes, I think I would. Depending on obviously the deal, but yeah, I'd be willing to deal with Jet Williams.
What did you make of the rumor about Abrams, C.J. Abrams?
I think that made a little bit more sense in the offseason.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, with what we've seen out of Cooper Pratt, like
it almost feels like you're trading Cooper Pratt for him then, or do you move Abrams to third?
Maybe, but like Abrams isn't exactly a great shortstop defensively, so like I understand the bat.
Yeah.
And that that would be a great bat to add, but I know it does seem like a Brewers thing to do to trade for a guy that I don't think he's ever really played much third base, and then you just have him play at third base.
Would it almost be similar to a Manny Machado, like move him to third?
Kind of.
Sort of thing.
Except, I think Manny Machado is a better defensive shortstop than C.J. Abrams
Right.
is. But I think that with what Cooper Pratt has done and the fact that there's so many other options, like it'd be one thing if they just had a bare cupboard at shortstop and it was like, okay, well, we're trading for this guy because we got nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
No, the Brewers have a lot of options, and especially now that Cooper Pratt's, it seems like he's kind of got his legs under him in the majors. Like, I think I would just keep Cooper Pratt there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is outside the box thinking for a potential third baseman.
And that's another guy with control.
Yeah. Yep.
Kind of cheaper control because it's arbitration, isn't it?
Well, I mean that's going to keep.
I know that it escalates based off performance.
Yeah, but it's going to depend on where he is in that arbitration process.
Right.
Because your salary climbs as it goes.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that one kind of caught me off guard. I was like, oh, like you said, the bat. So then then I guess we kind of look at it. 18, they acquired Moustakas, so I mean they're not that. They'll think Travis Shaw.
I don't think they're going to be bringing out the goal line package.
Yeah.
I mean, your second baseman is pretty well entrenched. So, but yeah, I mean, I was just trying to think of some like the guy I feel like I didn't do the list this year. But like I feel like the guy like the last 3 years has been on my list is Willie Castro.
Yeah.
But with the Rockies, just because he can play all over the place, and he's essentially a league average bat that can play everywhere, and that there's value in that. But I think in the series against the Brewers, he's playing shortstop. He's playing all over the place. But I still would like to see them get a bat just because we've seen so many times that has been the team's downfall. It's just a matter of how does that puzzle piece fit is a challenging question.
Pump the brakes, full throttle. Is Matt Arnold under any pressure at this trade deadline?
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe he would be a little bit more if we thought this might be the end of something. Like this was the end of a
run
for the team, kind of like 2011, where Doug at the end in going into 2011, Doug Melville was under pressure.
Yeah,
because they knew Fielder's not coming back. Like they just knew, like, okay, if something's going to happen, this is when it's going to happen.
Right.
And obviously that's part of the reason he made the moves he made. But I don't think so, because especially with so much young talent on the cusp, I don't think anyone looks at the Brewers right now and says, "Oh, well, they've only got this year," and then they're going to take a step back.
Because even I was trying to think of some players. Even if it was, say, Terang and Contreras were done after this year, they would have guys kind of waiting in the wings almost.
And the interesting thing to me is, because we don't know what the next labor agreement looks like if there was a route where the Brewers could extend Contreras, then suddenly I think Jefferson Carroll becomes a trade piece because you don't need two catchers,
right?
Especially if one of them is William Contreras,
right?
But we don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's honestly that's one thing that, because it seems like everybody's looking for, or a lot of teams are looking for catchers,
right?
And we know the Brewers really like Jefferson Carroll.
They do,
but I mean, if you could get something and you still have Contreras.
Between him, Marco Dinges, who I believe just got called up to Double-A, another catcher that can really hit. But that's kind of the thing is, if that were to happen, and look, we know that history says it's probably not super likely the Brewers are going to extend William Contreras, but the specter of this, whatever the next labor agreement looks like, kind of lingering over, it's like, but depending on how it looks like, maybe there's a chance. So you don't want to, necessarily, have the cupboard too bare there in case you have to trade him. But at the same time, that that's a position of strength that other teams are going to be looking for that you might be able to deal from.
Pump the brakes, full throttle. Dodgers get Skubal. the Brewers have to be super aggressive and kind of counter that with maybe multiple moves.
I'm gonna pump the brakes. I've never been a fan of like making moves because another team made a move, but look, you're gonna have to get through the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So I think you would know. Okay, we can't come away empty-handed.
Right.
I think not that the court of public opinion, no offense to all of us, really matters that much to these teams. But like if the Brewers or if the Dodgers made the trade and got Skubal, and then the Brewers had a trade deadline like last year, where they just ended up with a reserve outfielder.
Yeah.
I think you'd have a lot of very upset people.
Yep.
In part because of, and it wouldn't necessarily even be the Brewers' fault, because of the hype surrounding the deadline, which the Brewers weren't a part of hyping.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Like, here's my concern. We're focused so much on the Dodgers, and I get it. I understand that. But then I immediately go to the examples of 08, where we were just happy to get in the postseason, and it was that kind of like an early exit. Last year, we beat the Cubs.
Yeah. Well, even
what if we only play the Dodgers in the NLDS or something like that?
Which would be, I mean, that would be tough right now, because that would require one of the two teams to slip to the 2 and 3 seed.
Right.
But I mean, I also think of like 2011, where Brewers who is the team the Brewers, as fans anyway, not the team itself, did not want to play? Phillies.
Right.
Phillies got knocked off by the Cardinals. We're like, oh yeah, they wouldn't have to play the Phillies.
The number was in the parking lot afterwards. We were pumped. And
then, well, what happened there? Like, as much as the scar tissue of years of getting beaten up by the Dodgers is there, it's like, yeah, but it's very possible you might not have to play them.
Right.
Because it wouldn't be a shock to see. Let's say the Dodgers end up with the 1 seed, the Brewers the 2. Brewers play the NL East champion, say it's the Braves. Let's say they win. It would not be a shock to see a wild card team like the Cubs go and beat the Dodgers.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. Or someone else that just got red hot. It's happened before.
Here's the thing, too. I know we got time to get to this point. I don't know if I'd want to play the Cubs in the postseason. That's the other,
Right. I mean, they can hit. They've got an MVP candidate in PCA. And pitching wise, they've kept it above water considering all the injuries they've had to the rotation. Right. No, I would agree. Like, I would say they're a scary team.
And just, I mean, they'll remember last year.
Sure.
I mean, that's everybody's like that for sports.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And ultimately it gets decided on the field. I get that, but that'd be one I don't know if I'd want to go through again.
Right.
Now
if you had Tarek Skubal on the rotation, you'd feel a little bit better about being able to go into a series with Skubal and Mizorowski probably pitching 4 of at most 7 games.
Right. Yeah. And it's okay. Pump the brakes full throttle. Let's say the Brewers do get Skubal. You got Miz, Skubal. I don't know what the other 2 spots look like. It's either Drone, Sproat, Henderson, whatever.
Some hodgepodge.
Do you feel pump the brakes full throttle? You feel like, okay, assuming those are 2 wins with Mizorowski and Skubal, they could find 2 more wins in a 7-game series.
I think so. I think you could, between Drowan and just the guys we mentioned, Logan
Robert
Henderson,
Gasser,
whoever.
Yeah.
I feel like they could, and I'm sure they'd be a little bit more aggressive in the with how they deployed the bullpen, and depending on what they got there as well. Because hopefully they would add to that. I think something with the bullpen right now to me that's really interesting is the lefties.
Yeah.
What are you doing there? Because look, Aaron Ashby struggled.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of June, he's really struggled. DL Hall sounds like he's pretty close to being back. Rob Zastryzny's on the comeback trail as well. Like, I guess
Colton Gordon going to be coming up soon here.
He pitched last night at AAA, but also then the idea of, well, if you bring in a starter or 2, it's like, well, does Shane Drone get bumped to the bullpen? Which I think he's good in that role, but it's like, but he's been really good as a starter. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't. As much as earlier on this year, I was all about like, just keep him as like that. Him and Chad Patrick, I just love as those 2 guys that could just go 3 innings on the bullpen if you need to, like a bullpen saber day. But it's like, man, but he's just been really consistent and solid in the rotation, and like out of your 4 or 5 starter, that's just worth its weight in gold.
Could you see a scenario, say, again, they have Skubal, so it's Miz, Skubal, Kyle Harrison is your top 3, and then they just kind of do the bullpen,
they could.
Sort of
but if
piggyback start.
But man, if Logan Henderson's still around,
that's the other part.
And he's continuing to do what he's done. It's kind of hard not to go to him in a game 4,
right?
If he's got a sub-3 ERA and say, hey, you've earned this.
Because doesn't that almost, if you're able to keep Logan Henderson, doesn't that and assuming they still have one of Drowan or Sproat combining the
That's
two.
that's a combine. Yeah.
Assuming they have one of those, doesn't it almost kind of inadvertently boost your bullpen because it's a trickle down effect that
Well, someone's gonna go. Yeah, one of those, or at least one of those guys, gonna end up pitching out the bullpen.
right.
Because you only need 4 starters in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And we kind of saw, last year, like Bizarowski coming out of the pen, and
Right. I mean, and look, is there a world where someone like Brandon Sproat in like a 2-inning, burst, could just be really good? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of that just depends on ultimately what does the rotation look like.
Yeah. Pump the brakes, full throttle. Last one here. I'm going to ask for kind of a prediction. Pump the brakes, full throttle. The Brewers make multiple moves by Monday.
I'll go full throttle. Like by multiple, I'm thinking like 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say a starter, a reliever.
Starter and a reliever. No bat. I just don't know where that bat's going to come from.
That's the thing. Like, because someone's gonna go. Like, it's easier to kind of look at right now and be like, okay, well, who can go and what and where? But like, yeah, for the actual lineup itself. And here's the thing: like, Joey Ortiz picked a great time to get hot.
Yeah.
But like, the thing I always have in the back of my mind is like, what if it is just a hot stretch, and then we get to near the end of August and it's what we've seen from him.
That's the risk.
That's the thing that worries me. Like, then does that mean if he's still in the organization, do you go to Luke Adams, a guy who's hitting well at AAA? If Jet Williams picks it up, like,
yeah, it's giving me flashbacks of, again, I hate to bring it up, but 11. What happened? Jerry Harrison Jr. was getting more starts over Casey McGee.
Right, because Casey McGee it just kind of got away from him. Jerry, I mean, he was at like 5th.
Yeah,
like and he was solid. Like, and Jerry Harrison, like, that's like, if the Brewers could find that kind of guy who was the veteran who understood his role, that was just like, okay, I'm here to I'll get some hits. He wasn't hit very many home runs, but he was steady in the playoffs. Like, is that guy out there for somebody?
I'm going to throw this name in here, another pump the brake full throttle as an untouchable. Andrew Fisher.
I can understand it. I mean, like, there's still a lot of swing and miss there, so I'm a little leery about that. Like, if you're striking out a third of the time at AA, that doesn't go down when you get to the majors.
Mm-hmm.
But man, the power between him and Blake Burke, Biloxi has a lot of home runs right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could see it, especially given that third base has been kind of a revolving door spot.
Could you see a scenario where he does get called up this year, considering he played at the World Baseball Classic and he's kind of continued that? Or
that's a.
Or do you think that's more of a possibility? This team was like not in the playoff chase, and then you give him some.
I think the thing that helps Fisher is like he's a college guy, and generally, I think the rule of thumb, especially playing in the SEC, like college baseball is usually they equate to like maybe like AA. So like maybe like if they wanted to be really aggressive, but I think that would require third base really falling off a cliff for the Brewers.
And almost desperate times.
Pretty much. I mean, it's not 3 years ago when desperate times was Josh Donaldson.
Yeah.
But something like that.
Gosh, I that power, man, 33 home runs. It's not nothing to scoff at too much.
Right. I mean, you have a guy that hits 2 home runs in a playoff series and they get remembered, 2 or 3.
Yeah. Hey, Orlando Arcia's up there with home runs. He's available.
Prolific home run hitting and that's always the fun thing about the playoffs too, is like someone can suck in the regular season, but they have the good playoffs. That's what you remember.
People still remember David Freese.
He made a career. Yuniesky Betancourt in 2011 was not a good player in the regular season, but he actually had a good playoffs offensively.
Yeah. That's baseball, though.
It is.
We can't forecast.
I mean, you see that in the other sports too. I mean, Packer fans still remember Frank Zombo.
Ah, yes, Zorro.
Like, if you produce in the playoffs, you get remembered.
Yeah, absolutely. So, golly, I have resigned. I'm ready to be disappointed. I'm ready to be heartbroken. You're
Michael Scott, no doubt about it. I'm ready to be disappointed again.
Yep. I am setting myself up if they don't make a bunch of, like, I shouldn't say a bunch, but a couple moves or big moves. I might be a little down. I might be a little disappointed. I get it if they stand pat. I get it. But I was talking with Hunter yesterday, and I kind of asked him the question, since he's around the team, and that, like, would there be a concern about, everybody talks about chemistry. And he kind of talked about, the one player would probably be Sal Frelick, because he said just the other day Trevor McGill called, I think it was Trevor McGill, called him the heart and soul of this ball club.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's not playing and there's a lot of depth, and it's like, we know Pat Murphy loves him some,
Right.
but he also loves Caleb Durbin. So, I mean, that was part of it too. So I know Sal Frelick is getting mentioned in there, and I'm not saying this because I'm number one fan of Sal Frelick, but I mean, could that be one where it's like a hit to the clubhouse?
Yeah. I mean, that's the question. But at the same time, like, it's always such a double-edged sword, because you always talk, like, people always talk about, like, what does the message send when you make a big trade?
Mm-hmm.
And I forget who it was, but someone was saying, like, well, if you're making a big trade, you're sending the message to the team that you don't think they could do it as constructive. I'm like, but I think it's kind of the opposite. What kind of message did CC Sabathia's trade send to the Brewers in 2008? Oh no, we think this group can do it,
Mm-hmm.
and and we're giving you another piece. Like, I think, was it Bryce Harper? Kind of talking a lot about how they're kind of in Dave Dombrowski's ear with the Phillies, like, hey, make a move, like. But
it sucks.
It is a balancing act.
I remember TJ Lang talked about this, the former Packers offensive lineman. He said they would be in a locker room just wishing that, Thompson and the front office would be making, we have a good team here. We're just missing maybe a couple pieces and make a move.
Yeah, sign a free agent.
Right. And yeah, would it suck to maybe lose a teammate that you like, but at the same time, if you know it's an improvement.
Right, that's the business.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right, we got to take a quick break. That's AJM Automotive. Pump the brakes, full throttle. We'll be right back after these quick words. All right, we got Brewers taking on the Angels. Why do we have these weird start times of 8:38? Is there a legit reason for this? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I think it's just different teams kind of do it differently, and
Okay.
yeah.
That's just dumb, weird.
I think at one point the White Sox went at 7-Eleven because they had a sponsorship. Like, I'm not joking. I think that was actually a thing.
That I can see.
But yeah,
I mean,
it's
but
yeah, because you got to figure it's starting at 6:38 out
yeah.
in California. So yeah, 2 hours. I was gonna say of Anaheim, but yeah. So
So we had one trade with the Twins and AJ Minter.
yeah, late last night. Yeah.
Yeah, going over there. So Twins are buyers. Their GM said they were going to be buyers.
Right. Yeah, and they need some bullpen's kind of been a struggle for them at times. So getting another lefty reliever. I mean, obviously coming off that big win yesterday. So yeah, I mean that's kind of one of the first, I would say, decent sized dominoes. I mean Minter's a good reliever to get. So yeah, I mean I have to imagine like the floodgates will start to open here a little bit. I mean, we know regardless of if and where Tarek Skubal lands, he's not going to make another start before before the deadline because he pitched. Was it Wednesday?
Yeah,
I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah.
So
if the Tigers win that game, do you think they keep him?
I don't know. Like, I don't think you can really make your big decision so much on, well, did we win this game or did we lose this game? They just came, but I know they came out of the break with a bunch of games that they should have won more of than they did. So to me, I think that's your answer.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So, do you think everybody else is just kind of, is he the first domino, or do you think it's because we hear about this a lot in free agency, but this is different because there is a deadline, and I don't know, are other teams waiting to see this and then they move on? But I mean, there's got to be a sense of urgency with this too.
Right. Because after a while, you probably expect like, okay, if you know you're not in on Tarek Skubal, it's like, okay, well, we got to do something else then.
Yeah. So seems like it's Skubal, Peralta. Do you think there's another starter out there that is almost like guaranteed to be traded? Because past it's like, Freddie's gone.
Yeah.
Freddie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's guaranteed, but someone like Michael Wacha with the Royals, like, it doesn't make any sense for him to keep him. And it's a good chance to sell on him. He's an all-star. Like, he's a veteran guy that's going to, be in the rotation for pretty much every team in the playoffs. Like, he's another one I would still be a little surprised if he wasn't gone.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be more pitchers. So the whole Kevin Gausman thing with the Blue Jays, where the Brewers are on there, like, he could waive that, right?
And that might have been something he set up a couple years ago when he first signed the deal.
Right.
So, I mean,
if that's an option and he's willing to deal like that as a potential option for
I mean, he's been solid throughout his career. He's getting up there in years, so you always kind of wonder when a pitcher gets a little bit older. But some pitchers pitch well when they get older still. Like, so yeah, I mean, he'd be someone that I think I'd be all right with. I think he's in the last year of his deal. So,
do you think Soriano from the Angels is a possibility?
I think so. I mean, the stuff is there. I mean, he throws hard. Like, it seems like the type of pitcher the Brewers would love to get their hands on. And there's still some control there. Now, he got off to a really, really good start, so his numbers for the season aren't maybe as good as what he's been doing the last couple months. But he is definitely one of those guys I think the Brewers could look at and say, ooh, so we could do something there.
Mark, is it Mark Feinsand?
Mike, yeah.
From MLB.com just tweeted Freddie Peralta, Foster Griffin, and Casey Mize all start for their respective teams today in their last outings before Monday's trade deadline. It seems like to be the final start for all three with their current deals.
That's interesting because the rumor about Foster Griffin was like maybe they were looking to extend him.
Right.
Freddie, obviously, we know he's going to be moved. Casey Mize, I mean, I guess if you're going to deal Skubal, you might as well deal Casey Mize too.
Right. What about Jack Flaherty? I mean, we might as well just sell
I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like, if you're going to do it, do it. Especially on a market where teams want starting pitching.
Right. The Foster Griffin one was that's why I bring it up, because that one surprised, because I thought that was the talk too. But I mean, if all of a sudden he's available,
it's another arm. I mean, the more available arms out there, the better it is if you're a buyer like the Brewers.
Does it matter for the Brewers whether it's a righty or lefty?
I don't necessarily think so
Mm-hmm.
because there's already enough balance there. So I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Because sometimes once in a while we hear, well, they need a lefty, they need a right. I mean, but it seems like the Brewers got options galore right now.
Right.
It just maybe like, hey, best player available sort of thing.
And I guess the thing too is like, if you're thinking about it from that perspective, like they have lefties, but at the same time, like if you land Tarek Skubal, it's like one of the downwind benefits is look at the teams you're probably going to be competing against.
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers, a lot of lefty hitters. Cubs, a lot of lefty hitters.
Yeah.
Phillies, lefty hitters.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you're doing it for that reason, but it's almost like a happy accident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, we got to take our final break in the 8 o'clock hour here. So we'll be right back to wrap up the third hour after these quick words. All right, we only got a couple minutes left to the top of the hour here this morning. So, coming up next hour, we'll continue some baseball talk. Still send us your bold predictions. You got any bold trade predictions out there, Brandon? You got? Don't tell me if you tell me what they are, but you got any other bold ones off the top of your? You think there's a sneaky team out there? Is it the Rays?
I don't know if they're sneaky because they're really good. Like
Mhm.
there's just not haven't been a lot of people talking about them.
Right.
Um,
Well, we'll talk about
we'll
it in
talk
the
about
next.
the next hour. Have to take a look at the standings. Just see like, is there a team that maybe no one's talking about that's lying in the weeds?
Right. I'm trying to. I mean, maybe pick a team out of the AL Central. That's
Right.
I
Who emerges there?
Twins,
Is
White
it the,
Sox,
is it the
Guardians.
Twins?
Yeah. You really don't hear a whole lot about the Guardians either. So,
No.
but yeah, we'll hit that up. So, ooh, what?
I might have one. So we'll
Okay, yeah, we only got a
bring it up.
minute, so yeah, bring it up in the next hour. So, but continue this if you want. You can send us some bold predictions either on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line or hang out in the section 105 chat room on the video stream where in the background you can see Unsolved Mysteries talking about crop circles. So, which crop circles? Okay, we got a lot of farmland here. Has anybody encountered a crop circle around here? I gotta know. These ones these intrigue me a little bit. I gotta know if anybody knows somebody who has found a crop circle in their cornfield or soybeans or what other field. So, all right. Anyways, shot clock's gonna cut us off. We've got the final hour, the final Friday before the MLB trade deadline. Is it going to be a crazy busy weekend or not? Give me some predictions out there, peeps. News updates, and we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, here we go. Final hour kicks off right now on this Friday morning, the final day of the month of July. We will not have another July 31st of 2026 ever again. Never happening. So, appreciate you hanging out with us and making us part of your hangout here before you head off for the weekends. We've got MLB trade deadline coming up. It's setting up, at least if we believe all the smoke, that it's going to be one crazy, crazy trade deadline. Obviously, the big prize is Tarek Skubal. Will he be traded? Will he not be traded? What's going to be where's he going to go? That's the big question. We're going to add that to part of our predictions towards the end when we make picks. We'll kind of do that. So, who's that surprise team, Brandon, that maybe you think could be kind of waiting in the weeds, like you said, to make a big move?
As I look through the standing, there's a team that I saw that is now in a playoff position that may be motivated to be a little aggressive. And that's the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
You know, a team
That's
that
a good
obviously
one.
has been white hot here in the month of July, has gotten themselves from the brink of probably being a seller to now being in that second wild card, being right at the playoff start right now. They'd be matched up with the Yankees.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Playing in a really strong division, but a team that has really come to life here.
Yeah.
A team that, I mean, not that long ago, Sonny Gray was kind of being talked about as well. Is he a guy? I mean, they made, that could be on the move, and they made the move with the trade earlier this week. Unfortunately for them, it didn't work. Making the trade for Curtis Mead, and then he got injured immediately. But, there's someone that, are they looking for a little bit more offense?
Mm-hmm.
Are they looking for an infielder that can maybe give them something with the bat? That's kind of the first place I go to look.
Yeah, that's that. I didn't even think about the Boston Red Sox. You're right. That's a great one. So, I just saw this from Will Salmon and Ken Rosenthal. The New York Mets are asking teams for a top 100 prospect and more in their early conversations with teams about Freddie Peralta, said people familiar with discussions. The Cubs, Rays, Braves, Phillies are among the Cubs showing strong interest in Peralta, according to people briefed on the situation. Rotation-needy teams, however, are casting wide nets in their respective searches. Which, Cubs, we get the whole connection there, but it was interesting a couple days ago when Jeff Passan said he kind of downplayed the Cubs' interest in Freddie Peralta. So kind of an interesting thought there, but it makes sense. I mean, with the whole council, Freddie Peralta, obviously Cubs are very familiar with Freddie Peralta too. So, but so a top 100 prospect and more. So I mean, like,
Good luck with that. I mean, you can ask.
Yeah. So I mean, couldn't that technically be okay? It's our 99th race or 99th rate. It's top 100 prospect across baseball, right? It's
right,
not just,
right.
It's not.
So
the teams.
Yeah. I mean, that would be. I mean,
that'd be a lot of bottom.
Right. So
there.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's where the conversation can start, but I don't know. Like, kind of lost some of the leverage with that.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, that's all about the trade deadline, all about the conversation you get. So
the deadlines might get a little panicky for some teams, right?
Maybe.
If we get close, if we get to Monday and there's not a lot of deals being done or a lot of the big names, could we all of a sudden see like, oh boy, we got to up the offer? It's team standing pat. I mean, the Mets, these teams like the Mets, I don't even know if, like, would you consider the balls in their court? I don't think so. Considering Peralta, I mean, he's probably not going to be back. He's going to be a free agent next year.
Right.
All right. Again, from Will Salmon, we got a Brewers one with this. You're interested in the crop circle.
I am. Whenever you hear the update music, I'm going to turn my head.
Will Salmon, Ken Rosenthal, the Brewers are among the teams showing strong interest in New York Mets right-handed reliever Luke Weaver. There is high interest around the league in Weaver, who is owed $2.4 million after August 3rd, with another $11 million due in 2027. Some teams regard him as the best reliever available if the Padres do not trade from their bullpen, probably also known as Mason Miller. Luke Weaver, would you like that addition?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think they could use another bullpen arm or two. That's one of those positions you can never have enough of.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Would he be a late innings?
Yeah. I mean, he would factor into that, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, somewhere in there. I think we've seen that even though Trevor McGill has really become the 9th inning guy again, like we've kind of seen that Abner Uribe hasn't been strictly 8th innings. They've gone to him a little bit earlier, if depending on where you are in the lineup. But yeah, I mean, he'd be someone that I think would be a good addition. Just another capable arm.
Don't know if this means anything. A few minutes ago, Casey Mize is no longer scheduled to start tonight. The Tigers will use a bullpen game instead. Mize will now be listed as the scheduled starter for Tuesday in Seattle, the day after the trade deadline. So here we go. It's going to get more of these, right?
Well, here's the thing. Either it's being done because he's being traded, or if he has something where if it is like injury related or giving him some extra time, that's terrible timing for it.
Right. Or they just don't want him to start so he does get hurt.
Right. No, I'm sure I would be like 80% sure that's probably why, and 20% like, well, maybe he did tweak something or something, but like I'm sure that's what it is.
So let's just say, would you like Casey Mize on the Brewers? What?
I don't know, because he's interesting to me because he's a guy that at one point in his career was a really high draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
And it does seem like the Brewers like those kind of guys. But I don't know, like it just seems like it's taken him some time for it to all click, which, hey, that happens. But, he's having a really good year. I mean, he's having, the best year of his career right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good time for it. He's a free agent after this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the money, not a big deal at this point. But, yeah, I mean, the numbers are there. The striking out nearly 9 per 9, ERA under 3. I mean, the record's 4-6, but I think by now we all know not to fixate on the record. But, it hasn't clicked for him so much over the course of his career. He's only got 1 year where he threw more than 150 innings, and that was literally 150.1. So
if it's not Scuba, would you rather have Casey over Freddie?
I think he's having a better year. Like, I think it's easier to talk yourself into it simply because he's just pitching better this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's something interesting now. MLB trade deadline dominoes. This is from ESPN that was posted up this morning. Tigers, this is predictions. Tigers trade Skubal to the Braves. Reed Detmers goes to the Dodgers. Peralta to the Brewers. Kevin Gossman to the Phillies. Luis Ariz to the Rays. Liam Hicks to the Yankees. Clay Holmes to the Cubbies. Gleyber Torres to the Red Sox. Dalton Varsho back to the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
And then Emerson Hancock to the Cardinals.
Which is more likely to you? The Brewers trade for Taylor Skubal or the Brewers trade for Freddie Peralta?
That's a really good question. The weird part in this whole thing is, do the Mets kind of
is that admitting
choke down their ego?
I was
going to
say, yeah. Do you have to kind of take your medicine if you're trading a guy back to somebody you just traded for? They're not going to be trading Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not. You won't get this because you haven't seen it. It's not the movie Draft Day. I want my picks back. That's not happening. And this is the weird thing. How much does the relationship between Stearns and Matt Arnold factor into, right? I mean,
it's funny because it could almost be a double-edged sword,
right? Because
they know each other and they're probably not going to, they know they're not going to BS each other, but at the same time, like,
and let me throw a little conspiracy thing out there. Does David Stearns try to help out his old buddy and his old team? Does that factor in?
I don't know. Like, I don't feel like you cut somebody a deal because you like them.
Right.
I mean, you're still trying to do what's best for your team, and if someone's going to give you a better offer for him than what Milwaukee is, you're going to take that other offer.
Mm-hmm. What if David Stearns isn't back next year and he's like, screw it?
He wants to get back in the good graces. Not that
Nah.
he's maybe necessarily not in the good graces, but
Yeah, I don't. That's got to be the weird conversation too.
it does.
I would think. I don't. Oh man. Okay. So one team you picked Boston. I wanted to look this team up and kind of see where they're at. And I'll go a different route. What about the Rangers?
Yeah.
You look at that AL West. We talk about the AL Central, but that AL West,
It's wide open.
the Rangers,
Nobody wants it.
Astros and Mariners. It's essentially a 3-team race. But I mean, nobody's really saying anything about the Rangers, at least from what I've seen. And could that be? I mean, this is a team that won the World Series just a couple years ago. So, and they got Jacob deGrom. I mean, could that be a sneaky team?
I mean, it is a team that's a bit older. You mentioned Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi is 36, Jock Peterson, Brandon Nimmo.
Jock Peterson, yeah, wow.
Jock Peterson's still doing it as the righty killer, but do they? And yeah, I mean, I don't know if they were coming into the year expecting to contend, especially coming off of last year. The Mariners made the NL or the LCS,
Right.
but like it's out there.
Yeah,
It's a possibility.
yeah.
So yeah, like they're a team I could see making a move. I kind of like that pick out of you. Sounds like Corey Seager is going to be back off the IL here pretty quick. So that's that's an addition to, but that's another veteran guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, John Heyman just said Casey Mize scratched from his start tonight. Another indication Scuba Watch is heating up. Mize is now scheduled for after the deadline, but full Tiger sale, including Mize, may be on. So, dun, dun, dun.
Fun fact here, and I'm sure you just saw this from Buster Olney in regards to the Boston Red Sox.
I think I did. Was it the records?
The record this year is 57-51. The record through 108 games last year is 57-51. In 2024, the record after 108 games was 57-51. And in 2023, you guessed it, 57-51. That is crazy.
Wow. Wow.
But obviously a very different route this year versus the last few.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about a team that seemed like they were going to be selling off everybody in a complete turnaround.
I mean, it was chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It was panic. It was, what are we doing here? Like, I mean, especially obviously early on seeing Kyle Harrison and Shane Drouin. Now that trade's just looking a little bit more mutually beneficial for both teams.
Yes.
Anthony Siegler's done some good stuff. Andrew Monasterio's done some good stuff. Caleb Durbin's heated up. Right now, it just looks like a trade that works for both teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope. All right, let's take a quick break. Back with plenty more baseball talk, though, coming up after these quick words. fill in the blank for me, Brandon. Monday night, you would be very upset if the Brewers did what?
Nothing. Nothing. If they did nothing.
You would be very upset if the Brewers added just
Nothing.
one relief pitcher.
Right. Some guy in AAA with a 6 ERA.
Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. If they did
Yeah.
nothing. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Do you feel better? I know this isn't, because we can look at how everything transpired the last couple of years, but do you feel better about the Brewers doing something of substance this year than maybe at any other point before the trade deadline? I know it's kind of tough to.
I think they have more ammo to do it, just because of the depth of the farm system. Not just the top end talent, but like the depth. And we've seen in the last year really develop from like, oh, that player's interesting to, this is someone that other teams could covet. So I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm all in on this thing. No, I feel like something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. This was it Buster Only? Let me see if I can bring it up. Yeah, Buster Only said one exec says there are more teams posturing we are going to sell and buy than he can ever remember. I guess that's the trend this year. So that's kind of still the unknown of some of these teams who is really going to sell. It sounds like now the Tigers, they are going to sell. Mets, sounds like they're going to sell. I don't know of any other teams that are kind of at that point where we can maybe say they're maybe Angels. Throw them in there too.
I would hope so for their sake.
Yeah. Yeah.
I realize the Angels over the years have not made a lot of smart moves, but I don't see how you could ignore it at this point. Like where you're at, you already fired your GM.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, could you see a Brewers position player or a Brewers player that has been a regular contributor that could be traded? Would it be like a drone or a Sproat, do you think?
Maybe. Yeah, I could see maybe one of them packaged if a starter was coming back, kind of a thing. Because I don't think they would deal too much from their starting pitching depth to not get what they would consider to be an upgrade as a starter back.
Right.
So that would probably, yeah.
I feel like Joey Ortiz wouldn't be traded unless they were getting another third baseman.
Right, because you don't really, he's been kind of the best of a bad lot.
Right. Yeah, that would have to be like with the Abrams potential sort of thing,
right.
if you're getting rid of Joey Ortiz. But yeah, I'm ready. Let's get this thing going, and it's a race to the finish here. Let's do this. Ooh. Will Salmon said too with Luke Weaver. Here's another team that might be interesting. Pirates.
Yeah.
Like I feel Major League Baseball would love nothing more than to have the Pirates in the postseason just for one game. Paul Skeens. Yeah. And remember too, the Pirates did spend in the offseason.
They did. They upgraded their offense. Like usually in the past few years, it's been they can pitch but they can't hit. They've got some bats. They got some guys that can swing the bat.
Could that be a sneaky team that's
maybe
makes some moves?
For them, it's the idea of kind of like you said, they've spent, but like, will they spend more? Because that's been the thing under Bob Nutting, their owner, is they just don't spend.
Yeah, and I don't know if that would be enough to obviously catch the Brewers for first place.
No, but they'd be eyeing a wild card, and then that's a team that obviously with some of the arms they have with not only Paul Skeens but Jared Jones and stuff like that, like that'd be a tough team to play.
Bubba
Chandler.
Bubba on there too. So that might be a sneaky one too. But I don't know. I feel the deadline this year doesn't have a whole lot of bats available. Like
right, I would agree. No, it's more of it seems like it's more of a pitching led.
Like we're talking Abrams, but I still question whether the Nationals are going to do that. I think
they'd have to be overwhelmed.
Yeah, that one doesn't really. It's not like last year where it was like, okay, Suarez and some of the. I don't know, or I haven't really seen the one position player that a lot of people are saying this guy is for sure available, like a legit bat in that aspect.
Right. So. Yeah, like he should be on the move. Kind of like we knew last year, Eugenio Suarez was going to be on the move.
Right. And I don't know if the Reds wouldn't move on from. And I mean, is he the same player as last
Right,
night
and that's
or
it.
last
Like
year
that's
too,
more of
so.
a buy low versus okay, this guy's coming in to make a legitimate difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is interesting to hear the Dalton Varsho rumors picking up in the last week or so too. That would be a cool story for Brewers, but that's the question: where does he fit? And he's a center fielder. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, he's a Gold
he's
Glove center fielder. Like
yeah,
that's where he's playing, and that's yeah.
and I don't see. That would be a great story. It'd be a cool story for us.
It'd be a cool story, and I mean, he would bring some power.
Yeah.
He's defense and power, a lefty bat. But yeah, you're right. Like that.
I don't see how that one would work out, but that might be something to watch too, just from a local aspect, to see if he does gets moved before the deadline. So, anything else you're seeing on?
Well, I mean, just for fun, I went back to look at the moves that were made at the trade deadline 20 years ago.
Okay.
Just look at some names.
Yeah.
Todd Walker, Matt Stairs, legend. Greg Maddux was dealt from the Cubs to the Dodgers. Sean Chacon, but like not a lot as far as like big names. I mean, honestly, one of the biggest ones was the Yankees trading for Bobby Abreu and Corey Lytle.
That was 20 years ago.
July 30th, 2006.
Home run derby, Bobby Abreu. Wow.
Although I guess, I mean, it'd be a little bit more now than 20 years ago. The big deadline deal the Brewers made in 2006. Carlos Lee and Nelson Cruz to the Texas Rangers. For Julian Cordero, who I don't think ever really played the Brewers, Francisco Cordero, Kevin Mensch, and Lance Nix.
Yeah. Who won that trade? I don't remember that one.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
This was a little bit longer, but I did see it was like this day. I don't know how many years ago that McGuire was traded to the Cardinals.
Yeah, that was 97. So yeah, so that'd been 29 years ago. Or old.
Yeah, we are.
Tony Graffinino for Jorge De La Rosa, another Brewers trade of that time.
Yeah. All right. Give us some bold predictions, because we're going to do an extended version of picks coming up here in just a scotch. We're going to break it up in twos. Okay.
Woo.
So our next segment, we'll do some trade predictions, bold predictions, and then we'll actually get to some game picks coming up here too. So we got Brewers versus the Angels. Really quick, any concern about that Giant series, or was that just kind of like a one-off?
If I was in on Monday and we were picking that series, I would have picked the Giants to win.
Okay.
I don't know why, but it just always seems like when the Brewers go to San Francisco, it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like it just seemed like a series where a lot of weird things happened. There's like multiple drop pop-ups. Like I get the win.
Garrett Mitchell. Yeah.
Like just talking with some friends I referred to as there just seemed to be there just seemed to be way too much of what I would call dumbassery.
That's the
or just like
time you said.
something going on. I'm like, what's that? Like the one play where like neither Pratt or Trank covered the bag on a steal attack. Like just like weird stuff. Like it just seemed like it was one of those series.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back with some bold predictions coming up after these quick words. All right, before we get to our game picks here, let's make some bold trade deadline predictions. I'm going to give you some names. Okay, and we got to put our money where our mouth is, Brandon. Let's start with the cream of the crop. Derek Skubal goes where?
I'm gonna say Tarek Skubal goes to the Dodgers.
Okay.
I'm gonna be a poopy pants.
Yeah, that is kind of a poopy pants there. You know what? I'm going to say why not? He's going to the Brewers. Part of it is a big-time homer pick, but maybe one time.
It's your show, dang it.
One time, the Dodgers don't get what they want. Just one time.
Is this the Little Giants one time?
Yeah. You beat Kevin down Cherry Hill.
You beat the Dodgers for a trade target?
One time, man. I think a lot of it is probably that I'm hoping that's the case, and I just rather not have it be the Dodgers. So let's go Mason Miller.
I think he stays.
I think he stays too.
I think he stays.
Yep. I would agree with you. How about Luis Ariz?
Luis Ariz should be dealt. I'm going to say Luis Ariz to Texas.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm trying to think who are some other.
I think some teams. I mean, he's really he really helped reestablish his value, especially defensively as a second baseman.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm going to say Texas.
All right. Oh, I'm gonna piggyback off that one. How about Reed Detmers?
White Sox.
Ooh, I like that. I am gonna go Cubs for Reed Detmer. Soriano, Angels.
I am gonna say Rays.
I'll go Dodgers for that one. Stays in California. Freddie Peralta.
You know what? For this one, I'm gonna say Cleveland.
That's a sneaky good one. I wouldn't have thought of that. I'll go Cubs. Then get another one. Foster Griffin.
I'm gonna say stays.
I was gonna say stays too. How about Casey Mize?
Well, I mean, we have a feeling, right?
Yeah, got scratched. So
yeah. So, a team that we haven't really talked a lot about. I'm gonna go Atlanta.
Yeah, I could see that one. I was gonna go Yankees with Casey Mize. How about Kevin Gossman?
Well, I don't have his no trade list in front of me.
I don't either. But
I'm gonna say Yankees.
I was gonna go Atlanta for Kevin Gossman. So, any other names that we want to throw in there? I know it's really starting pitcher heavy, but I mean,
that's what the list is. So, Luke Weaver.
Ooh, yeah. I want to say Brewers, but I just don't know if they're gonna pull. If they get Skubal, let's just say if the Brewers get Skubal, how much more can they actually do?
Right. If they would get Skubal, I would say the other one would be like not like a minor leaguer, but just like a second tier trade for like a reliever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I can't say that. I'll go Braves, even though it's within the division. Actually, no. I'm going to change that. I'll go Yankees with that one too. How about Dalton Varsho?
I mean, I'll tell you what, Dalton Varsho, Phillies.
I think he stays. So, I think that's kind of for some of the
yeah.
bigger again, it's like starting pitch. Do you think Jack? Or I'll just throw it since we're talking like a fire sale for the Tigers. How about Gleyber Torres and Jack Flaherty?
Ooh. Now I forgot. I'm checking something here just to make sure. Now, did I have it the Brewers acquiring anybody?
No.
I'm gonna say they get Jack Flaherty.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think you had the Brewers going with
Yeah,
anybody.
I'm gonna say Jack Flaherty for a starter. Gleyber Torres, Red Sox.
That's a good pick. I can see that one. You know what? I'm gonna be a little crazy. Both of them go to the Red Sox.
Ooh, package deal.
Package deal. So, all right. A lot of you. I will say a lot of the bold predictions here. It's between the Brewers getting Peralta or Scoobles. That's what everybody's kind of texting in. So I'll just. It's pretty much that. I don't need to go through everybody's because that's what everybody's at. It's either Peralta or Scooble.
So I have I don't know if it's necessarily a bold prediction, but like a friend of mine brought up, and I was very interested in as far as a potential Brewers target. And I think it would be it would make sense because it's someone that I think people wouldn't necessarily think of. And he's from a team I know is probably going to be selling. And I'm just double checking the contract details. So I've got this. Okay. So tell you what, I will lay down a bold prediction on the Brewers.
Okay.
I mentioned I don't think they get Scooble. Name I think that they end up getting as a starter, though, Nick Lodolo from the Reds.
Would they trade in division?
Did the Reds want? Or are they right? I mean, he's someone that is only a year removed from a really good year, 156 innings, a 3.33 ERA, like good strikeout rate, like. Even his numbers this year aren't as good as last year, but they're not bad. He struggled with some injuries, some blisters, stuff like that. But former first-round pick, a guy that, we know the Brewers like that pedigree when they can get it. A lefty. I mean, he's currently injured right now. Like, the more I hear this, the more I think, like, this is just such a Brewers thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just say Nick Lodolo, left-handed pitcher from the Reds.
Okay. All right.
Under control, I believe, through next year.
The thing is, the Reds just made the postseason last year, so how much would they? Can we get Stewart a part of that though too, so we get our third baseman?
Be nice.
Right.
Do they package Eugenio Suarez as part of that too?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. But that'll be me going on the limb for someone that we haven't really heard about.
Is there somebody that you could see, regardless of the position? Because we know the Brewers like the projects or try to get somebody to resurrect their career. Is there somebody else, or was that the Lance McCullers era that was very short-lived?
No, I mean, I don't think.
Like, would Suarez be that?
I don't think so, because I think usually when there's guys they try to resurrect, usually it's because the struggles they're having are not because of physical skill.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the case of McCullers, and certainly with the case of Suarez, I mean, those are just two older guys. Like, I just think the skills are kind of starting to go away.
Yeah.
To me, that's different.
I don't want to see the Josh Donaldson like you mentioned.
No.
Those type of.
No, where you're trying to talk yourself into why it could be okay.
Yeah, I just.
Like, to me, there's a path where Nick Lodolo produces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Should be fun. All right, let's take our final break here, and then we got
our final
picks.
Break in the history of July 2026.
When you put it that way, it's kind of depressing. A little bit. All right. Anyways, take a break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. and stuff that people are getting over there. And I think we need to go to the National down over by Chicago next year. Do you know what that is? The National Sports Collectors Convention.
Mm-hmm.
I think so you know Brandon Walker from Barstool?
Yep.
I don't know why it showed up in my feed because I don't follow him, but he got it looks like one of the original Space Jam movie posters.
Oh, wow.
So it's stuff like that, a bunch of old college football helmets. I think we need to go down there.
Would your wife allow you to, knowing what you might end up coming back with?
Here's the thing. You are in here. How much space do I actually have? Not a lot.
So could you get some stuff and just kind of hide it in plain sight?
She doesn't care. 'Cause it's not her money. It's my money. Like it come from mine. I would have to make some hard decisions on what to potentially get rid of. I don't. What was that? Was that the dog or was that my kid?
That was a dog.
Oh, jeez.
Dog doesn't want you to go anywhere.
Apparently not. So
dog loves you.
I gotta check the security cam up there. What's going on? He's whining. Kid must be walking by. That's why. So all right. I think we need to do this. Just I want to experience it.
Just to see what there is to see.
Yeah, and see what it's all about. So, let's work on something. Get her done. So, all right, ready for some game picks?
Yes.
Let's get to it. So, I got to bring up the schedule here, unless you got it up.
I don't.
Okay, I will bring it up because I got to
do
everything on this.
It's your show.
Let's start it off with, all right, Yankees, Cubs.
I'll go Cubs.
Now we're doing the series.
Yep, I know.
It's at Wrigley.
Yep.
I'm going to go Yankees. Let's go Pirates, Reds.
Pirates.
Phillies, Baltimore.
Phillies.
St. Louis, Toronto.
Toronto.
Ooh. St. Louis hasn't been playing that. They've kind of fallen down a little bit, right? So I'll go with the Blue Jays. Arizona, Cleveland.
Arizona.
I'll go Cleveland. White Sox, Tampa.
Tampa.
I am going to go Tampa 2. Miami, Mets.
Miami.
Washington, Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Rangers, Houston.
Houston.
I'll go Rangers. Royals, Rockies.
Royals.
Versus Seattle.
Ooh. A lot of momentum for the Twins. I'm going to go Seattle, though.
I'm going to go Seattle, too. I'm going to go Minnesota. I'm going to switch it. And then finally, Brewers, Angels.
I'm going to go with the Brewers.
Yeah, I'm
2 or 3 to bounce back and end up a 3-3 6-game trip.
Would you consider that a successful road trip?
No, but
not really?
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, better than losing both series, right?
Yeah. I guess they could just sweep it and then they would have a winning road trip.
Yeah. I'm trying to see.
But I'm
if
not
going
to
pick
it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's any more rumors or updates with this thing. The Casey Mize thing is like flooding.
No, everybody is
speculating on where he's going to go. So
don't worry, I'm sure it'll drop at either 9:59 or 10:01.
It'll be the fact that it's I don't know because he was supposed to start tonight, so I mean they're scratching it. So I was going to say it's going to happen today, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the case. So
no,
but. Kyle Harrison, at least, he looks like he did really well yesterday with the Timber Rattlers, so he's going to be coming back here soon. That's going to be an instant boost to the bullpen, or the starting rotation. So, I mean, Miz, Harrison, Logan Henderson looks good. You got 3 young, good starters there. If they do add another starter, it just kind of, the one guy. I know we talked a little bit about Drout and Sproat. See, I did it again. Shane Drone and Brandon Sproat as being
combine them into one pitcher,
yeah.
one ambidextrous pitcher.
We talked about them as being should we be talking more about Robert Gasser possibly being
That could be. Now, the thing, Gasser's the oldest of the three.
Right.
So and I think he's a little bit further along in his clock as far as, like the contract starting to write service time and stuff. So, yeah. I mean, I could definitely see one of them being a part of a package.
Mm-hmm.
And they're young. And that's why I would lean more towards Sproat, obviously we know. Drowan, you almost had me saying it, is still pretty young in his service time clock, so I could see that being appealing to another team.
Yeah. And the other part to me, because we talk about, okay, these guys then get moved to the bullpen. I don't like Gasser out of the bullpen more.
I don't either.
That's the other part.
Yeah. Drowan is the one I like the most out of those three.
Mm-hmm.
I could see there being some significant upside with Sproat because maybe the stuff plays up a little bit more. Plus, we've seen with him that he tends to run out of gas.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's just one of those guys that it's got to be 20, 25, 30 pitches versus 80.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get to my kids messing with the dogs now. I'm watching it on the security cam. So yeah, come on, Hudson, get there. Jeez Louise. So, that's the other part too. Is like I don't know. I feel Wood. Okay, so they add another starter. Does that mean Robert Gasser goes down to the minors again? Like, where's the role for him at this point?
Right.
Tough call, but
it is.
And the thing is too is that Robert Gasser has put together a couple of nice back-to-back starts.
Right.
So he has been inconsistent at times, but that's the main thing that I've wanted to see from him is can he continue to stack those starts? But should be interesting. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see what happens.
You're excited to stare at your phone for the next 3 days.
It's given me a little bit of free agency with the NFL.
Yeah, except there at least you kind of know. You have a little bit better idea of when.
Mm-hmm.
Here it's just like anytime. I mean, last night the AJ Minter news broke. That was like after 11 o'clock.
Yeah. The only thing too is, I don't know. You can't really say it because for the longest time, even free agency, like, okay, Packers aren't going to do anything, but then that's changed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we as Brewers fans now have just kind of come to most of us have come to the, I don't want to say conclusion, but maybe the mindset that the Brewers are going to do something.
As JP on Angels in the Outfield said, hey, it could happen.
Jeez, what a pull. That was pretty epic. Best performance by Matthew McConaughey. Unsolved Mysteries or Angels in the Outfield?
I always forget the episode of Unsolved Mysteries is in, so I'm going to have to go Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah. I mean, hey. All right.
I still say that George Knox should have gotten in more trouble than he did for leaving Tony Danza out there with their 150 pitches.
Was it 150? Seriously?
Something at the end, because I think it's before his last pitch, I believe the announcer says it's been 148 pitches.
Come on, I don't remember that. That's ridiculous.
The reason I remember that exact number is because of how ludicrous it is. I'm sorry, I get it back in the day, but I mean, come on, they weren't throwing. Yeah, come on.
No, I mean
that's why he died 6 months later.
Way to ruin the movie if nobody saw
Spoiler alert.
Jeez,
he doesn't die during the movie.
But still, come on, way to. I can't remember what he passed away from. What was it?
I don't remember.
Oh.
I don't know if they ever. I mean, it's a Disney movie. I'm sure they're not going to go into too much specifics, but I just remember Al saying that, he's going to be one of us soon.
I remember that part.
Yeah, I don't.
But
remember
how do you know it was 6 months?
I don't know.
Okay. All right, we only got a minute left. So, any last thoughts on? Any words of wisdom here or encouragement for Matthew Arnold?
Do what you feel is correct.
So what if he does nothing?
And I'm not sure if that's correct. Because he kind of did nothing last year. I mean, they won a playoff series, but would you say it worked? They didn't win a game in the LCS.
No.
And I remember that day because I went on a really long bike ride because I'm like, I don't want to be looking at my phone all day. I'll just look when it's done. And then I remember checking my phone later on the day, and it's like, oh, they traded for Brandon Lockridge.
So is that going to be the case on Monday if they don't do anything this weekend for you?
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy.
No, I'm saying you're going for a bike ride and not watch your phone?
No, I'll be working.
Okay.
Yeah, that just happened to work out where I could do that. No, I'll be working.
All right.
And I'm sure I'll be refreshing.
All right. We got to go. Have a good weekend, everybody. Talk to you all on Monday.